Chapter 350. Two Under One Roof. Please sign here for today's surprise. We are fortunate to have invited the movie queen Zhong-yi to participate in today's live stream. There are also two mystery guests. Everyone, please look forward to it. We actually managed to invite Zhong-yi. Zhong-yi had excellent acting skills and gorgeous looks, but she was often attacked by others because of her sexy image in the early days of her debut. Her most famous film was Dustless, which was a collaboration with Shi Sui. In the film, Shi Sui played a detective who belonged to the good side, while Zhong-yi played a dancer who was both good and evil. She had a secret relationship with Shi Sui. The director formed many artistic metaphors through their relationship, and the two of them also displayed superb acting skills, which were regarded as classics in the film industry. The two of them were about the same age, and Zhong-yi was 30 years old this year. When the film was released, many people were shocked by their acting skills in the film and mistakenly thought that they were a real couple. Hence, the two of them were rather popular in the industry. The reason was that Shi Sui had never interacted with any actresses before. Some of Zhong-yi's fans immediately expressed, "Her Highness has arrived. Zhong-yi and Zhong-yi CP are worth investing in." When Shi Sui was interviewed, he said that he liked Zhong-yi's type very much. Ha ha ha, there's going to be a good show to watch. Zhong-yi is the beautiful type. Vase Fairy is going to be crushed by a beauty like Zhong-yi in seconds. Seeing how Zhong-yi's fans were being ridiculed, Xiangyi's fans were displeased. Is our sister Yi someone you can bully as you please? Hence, Zhong-yi's fans were taught a lesson early in the morning. They were dumbfounded. Is this Xiangyi that popular? Why does she have so many fans? The live stream began at 9:00 in the morning. The loyal fans of Two Under One Roof immediately swarmed into the live stream. The camera panned to a distant view of the mountains in the distance, where the colorful windmills of Little Rabbit Farm were rotating in the wind. The vegetable fields were fertile, the garden was lush, and there were flocks of chickens and ducks. In the yard, Xiao Naofu and little Shiji were fighting. To be more precise, Xiao Naofu was bullying little Shiji. She refused to drink her goat milk and insisted on snatching the milk from little Shiji's bowl. The little Shiba Inu's black eyes were wet. It didn't fight back even after being hit a few times by Xiao Naofu's fleshy paws. It even gave the goat milk to Xiao Naofu. The netizens in the live stream, hooligan acts. Sterilization warning. Wow, this Shiba Inu is so cute. What a cute little puppy. Have I been drinking too much sugar lately? I think little Shiji is spoiling Xiao Naofu a little. Ha ha ha, you don't have to. I saw the staff post yesterday. Although the two of them are of different species, they are of the same gender. Nothing good will happen if they get together. After the heartwarming scene was shot, the camera turned to the entrance of the manor. The black iron gate was covered in vines and roses. Zhong-yi, who was wearing a red V-neck dress, got out of the car with a strong aura. Her black high heels made her fair and straight legs look even longer. She was plump but not fat. She combed her wavy long hair, and as an actress, she accurately found the camera and smiled. Bullet comments in the live stream, "Aw sister, kill me." Zhong-yi's smile is so enchanting that it makes all the beauties pale in comparison. Zhong-yi is such a queen. I finally get the charm of a 30-year-old sister. Vase Fairy really can't compare to her. In the next second, Zhong-yi turned around and got out of the car. She carried out a little bun who was wearing a princess dress and had her hair in a bun. She was also holding a rainbow lollipop tightly in her chubby little hand. Chapter 351. The netizens were dumbfounded. What the hell? Where did this child come from? Someone asked, could it be Zhong-yi's baby? As soon as the bullet screen was posted, Zhong-yi's fans immediately burst into laughter. Please don't spread rumors. You can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. Smile, how did you know? Did you deliver her baby? If not, then shut up, okay? The production crew was also dumbfounded. However, Wan Qing was present and made a few gestures to Li Jianyu. Li Jianyu coughed and picked up the microphone to greet Zhong Yi from behind the camera. Zhong Yi, welcome to Two Under One Roof. I wish you a happy day. He didn't mention the child because he didn't want to make Zhong Yi feel awkward. Zhong Yi nodded. Hello, everyone. She looked at the little bun in her arms with a gentle gaze. This is my daughter, Jiang Jiang. The production crew was speechless. The netizens were speechless. The corners of Li Jianyu's mouth twitched. What kind of luck is this? Today's hot search is going to be dominated by their variety show again, the executives of Muyao TV, who were secretly watching the live broadcast of Two Under One Roof next door, almost vomited blood when they heard this. Another hot topic. Why did Two Under One Roof have to face it? They had spent hundreds of millions of yuan to invite Zhuo Yi and Jiang Yun, and the guest remuneration for each episode ranged from millions to tens of millions. As far as they knew, Two Under One Roof didn't pay a high notice fee, mainly because they had always invited veteran actors and actresses. They only charged a friendship price, which was a few 100,000 yuan at most. When Xiangyi's family came, none of them asked for money. Instead, her third brother, Hades, had to fork out a lot of money, not to mention, the president of the Chinese Medicine Association, the brothers of C7, and the upcoming Logic team came for free, low cost, high return. That was enough to make people green with envy. This variety show has its own hot topics. For example, when Xiangyi played the Sanxian, the folk music bigwigs on Weibo, the Chinese Music Association, the cruelty exposed in the Mingxi Boys High School incident, and the subsequent reflection on education. Not to mention, when Xiangyi's brothers exposed themselves, it brought about a lot of attention. But now, Zhong Yi had exposed that she had a daughter. The director of Muyao TV was so angry that his eyes turned red. If he had kept Li Jianyu in the beginning, wouldn't all the achievements and popularity brought about by Two Under One Roof be his glory? Jiang Jiang's facial features were soft and adorable, and her eyes were young and round. She seemed to be very shy as she hugged her mother's neck tightly. Zhong Yi asked her to greet the others, but she didn't say a word. However, when Zhong Yi carried her to the courtyard and saw Shi Sui who went out to greet the guests, Jiang Jiang blinked. Shi Sui greeted her politely, "Good morning, Senior Zhong." Zhong Yi was only 3 years older than him, but she had been in the industry for over 10 years. She was his senior. Long time no see. You're so fat now, Zhong Yi joked. I guess you've been eating well lately. Shi Sui chuckled. Is it that obvious? As soon as she said that, the little bun in Zhong Yi's arms suddenly reached out a hand toward Shi Sui. Papa, in an instant, Li Jianyu's vision turned black and he almost fainted. Father? Father sure has a daughter? Oh no, not only am I going to be on the hot search list today, my Weibo is going to be paralyzed. Shi Sui raised her eyebrows and asked, Are you Jiang Jiang? Yes. Papa, hug. The little girl reached out her chubby and milky white arms toward Shi Sui. Li Jianyu's vision turned even darker when he saw Xiangyi who appeared behind Shi Sui. Shower Wan, when I faint later, can you help me pinch my philtrum? Wan Qing squinted and asked, Shower Wan. Li Jianyu was on the verge of breaking down. Is this the time to be fussing over what to call me? Chapter 352. Sister Wan, is that enough? Wan Qing pondered for a few seconds and said, You'll faint later, let's see how things go first. If you faint now, it'll affect your work. Sister Wan, you're such a capitalist. Xiangyi was obviously stunned when she heard the soft and adorable word Papa. Shi Sui's daughter? How is that possible? Even though her rationality told her that the probability was slim, she strangely felt a sense of suffocation in her heart. She was also a little frustrated. Shi Sui didn't like children. He didn't hug Jiang Jiang and instead rubbed her little head. Jiang Jiang, I'm not your father. However, Jiang Jiang was very firm and she exclaimed in a childish voice, You are Papa. The comments section of the live stream exploded. Oh my gosh. Jiang Jiang is Shi Sui and Zhong Yi's daughter? No wonder Zhong Yi retired for a long time a few years ago. She must have gone to give birth to Shui's child. Shui is toxic. Your child has already called you Papa, yet you refuse to acknowledge her? Is your own flesh and blood not as important as your character? All the major marketing companies swarmed in, and those who were quick enough had already written eye-catching drafts. Shocking. Shui's biological daughter has been exposed. She's actually, Shui and Zhong Yi's relationship has come to fruition. I believe in love again. Zhong Yi is the Empress of the Empress Dowager. She's a shameless homewrecker. There were those who were just there to watch the show, those who were trying to ride on the hype, and those who were making things up. All of a sudden, rumors and slanders spread at the fastest speed. The number of viewers in the live stream of Two Under One Roof skyrocketed, and in just a few minutes, the number of viewers had already risen to millions. While everyone was watching, Zhong Yi said indifferently, "Jiang, you've got the wrong person." "Mommy." Jiang blinked her grape-like eyes and tears began to well up in her eyes. "Mommy, you're lying." Zhong Yi naturally changed the subject. "Jiang, there's a kitty over there. Don't you like kitty the most?" Jiang was only 3 years old and was at the age when her attention was easily diverted. When she saw Xiao Naofu, her eyes lit up and she fluttered her little legs. "Mommy, I want to go down." Zhong Yi put her on the ground, and the little girl bounced towards Xiao Naofu, looking carefree and innocent. Zhong Yi tried to make light of it, but the netizens didn't buy it. Zhong Yi must be hiding something. That's it? The denial is too weak. I was only 30% convinced just now, but judging by Zhong Yi's attitude, I'm 70% convinced that she's having an affair with Shui. Miss Xiang. Zhong Yi had watched some videos of Two Under One Roof before she came, so she recognized Xiang Yi. Xiang Yi stepped forward and greeted him politely. "Do you have any tasks for me?" Zhong Yi asked. Li Jinyu continued, "Today's task is to change pots and fertilize the plants. Then, we have to build a fence around the vegetable field." Zhong Yi nodded, indicating that she got it. She asked Xiang Yi, "Where's the room?" "I'd like to change into some lighter clothes." "Senior, this way please." Xiang Yi brought her to change her clothes. The two of them were polite and distant, but that was actually normal. After all, they didn't know each other before. However, in the eyes of the netizens, countless meanings were interpreted. Zhong Yi is really like an empress. The vase fairy is like a maid in contrast. Tsk, I feel like a battle is about to start. Zhong Yi has such a good figure, she can easily defeat Xiang Yi. Zhong Yi has been working with Shui since 5 years ago. A certain female celebrity is considered to have interfered in their relationship. Chapter 353. The netizens were having a great time gossiping about the emotional entanglements between celebrities. All of a sudden, all sorts of speculations popped up. Some said that Shui and Zhong Yi had a one-night stand, and that Shui abandoned Zhong Yi and her mother after becoming famous. Some said that Shui and Zhong Yi had long been married in secret, just like Shui Yi and Jiang Yun. They were going to announce it today. Xiang Yi, on the other hand, had become the third party in the public opinion. While the others were talking, Zhong Yi changed her clothes and came out of the bathroom. She was wearing a black singlet, tight-fitting sweatpants, and a large oversized jacket. The gender-neutral sportswear style neutralized the sexiness of her figure, making her look clean and suave. Zhong Yi's fans immediately started praising her, and they didn't forget to criticize Xiang Yi. "Sister looks so beautiful in sportswear." Best Actress Zhong Yi. Movie queen who can charm and defeat, sister's figure is really like the ceiling of female celebrities. Vase fairy, who relies on her face to make a living, stand back. In the next second, Xiang Yi also appeared in front of the camera. She didn't change out of her clothes and simply took off her cute apron. Inside, she was wearing a blue short-sleeved shirt with a few daisies dotted on her chest. She was also wearing a pair of high-waisted, wide-legged pants that accentuated her long legs and slender waist. His outfit was simple, languid, and casual, but it made it impossible for one to look away. The comments in the live stream seemed to have lagged, and it took a few seconds for the comments to be refreshed. I have a similar short-sleeved shirt. So the daisies on her chest look like they're in full bloom? To be honest, I don't usually think that Xiangyi is very good-looking, but when I compare her to Zhongyi, I realize that she's really beautiful. I'm dying of laughter. Is this your first day surfing the internet? Do you really think anyone can be called a vase fairy? The word vase is enough to prove that she's worth it. Coincidentally, Xiangyi and Zhongyi were in the same frame. There was only hurt when there was a comparison. Zhongyi's fans realized that Xiangyi seemed to be fairer, slimmer, and her breasts. F***ck. What the hell did you eat when you were growing up? Xiangyi demonstrated it once. She just took out the plants and soil from the flower pot and put them into a bigger flower pot. She then added nutritious soil and slow-release fertilizer. You can put some of these insecticides into the soil to prevent pests from appearing. For slow-release fertilizer, just sprinkle it around like this. Xiangyi explained the steps very patiently. Some netizens noticed that the pots of flowers she gave to Zhongyi were all small and light, while the ones she gave to Zhongyi were bigger. Someone praised, "Sister E is really gentle. Love, love." There were also people who scolded, "Isn't he just trying to perform in front of the camera? Prove that you're doing more work than Zhongyi, scheming woman." When Xiangyi got up to pick up a pot of flowers from the flower rack, her short sleeves rolled up along with her movements, revealing her slender waist and skin that was glowing under the sunlight. Suddenly, the atmosphere in the comments section of the live stream changed. Sister Yi's back isn't a back, it's a Bulgarian rose. Sister Yi's waist isn't a waist, it's a deadly scimitar. Ah, hurry up and block Xiangyi's view. Mommy won't allow others to see Xiangyi's waist. At this moment, Zhongyi's fans in the live stream no longer had the cheek to diss Xiangyi with her beauty and figure. After all, the feeling of being slapped in the face was too uncomfortable. Chapter 354. Zhongyi looked up and inadvertently saw this scene. Just as she was thinking about how to tactfully remind Xiangyi, a tall figure suddenly appeared behind Xiangyi and happened to block the camera. Xiangyi turned around with the flower pot in her arms and blinked in confusion when she saw Shui behind her. The girl's short-sleeved shirt returned to normal as she turned around. Shui took the flower pot from her hand and their fingertips accidentally brushed against each other. Shui didn't show any discomfort and asked casually, "How much pottery?" "Just a thin layer to cover the bottom of the pot." Shui nodded slightly and went to the side to put the pottery into the flower pot one by one. The two of them got along harmoniously and naturally. A strange look flashed across Zhongyi's eyes. As someone who had acted with Shui before, she knew how powerful Shui's misogyny was. The two of them had once filmed dozens of scenes but still failed. In the end, the director had no choice but to give up and replace the physical contact with a confrontation of the eyes. At that time, she was very curious about what to do if such a man really fell in love with her. However, she now realized that Shui didn't seem to resist physical contact with Xiangyi. "Mommy." Jiangjiang's call pulled Zhongyi back from her wandering thoughts. She turned around and saw that Jiangjiang was hugging Xiao Naofu with a bright smile on her face. Xiao Naofu was in despair. Why are human cubs so annoying? However, it didn't dare to struggle. It heard that human cubs were very fragile and Xiao Naofu was afraid that it would hurt the cub with a casual swipe of its paw. Hence, it was bullied by Jiangjiang to the point that it had nothing to live for. Jiangjiang exclaimed, "Mommy, this kitty can bark like a dog." Xiao Naofu protested, "Meow. I'm not a cat. I don't bark like a dog. That's clearly the roar of a fierce tiger. Kitty, can you bark?" Jiangjiang's clear eyes were full of anticipation. Xiao Naofu coldly turned his face away and ignored her. Zhongyi said helplessly, "Jiangjiang, you can't bully Kitty." "Okay." Little Loli pouted and placed Xiao Naofu on the ground. Xiao Naofu, as if it had been granted amnesty, rushed towards Xiangyi. But halfway through, he was grabbed by the back of his neck. Sister E is busy. Don't disturb Sister E, Shui said with a smile. Do you want me to play with you? How about a kiss? Xiao Naofu was instantly enraged. Woof woof woof. Dream on. Wishful thinking dog man. Jiang Jiang's eyes widened and she said in admiration, wow, Papa is so amazing. It can actually make a kitten bark like a dog. Zhong Yi seemed to have thought of something, as she remained silent. This scene was seen by the netizens in the live stream, so loving. It's obvious that he's coaxing his daughter. The look in Zhong Yi's eyes is so sad. It must have been hard for her to raise a child all these years, scumbag Shui. If you have the ability, then make an official announcement. If you don't care, why are you teasing Jiang Jiang? She had gotten her father's love and lost it? Are you still human? The netizens were filled with righteous indignation and they immediately imagined Shui as a scumbag father. An untimely couple fan said, Shuringdi might be coaxing Xiang Yi too. Immediately, he became the target of public criticism and was scolded like a sieve. In their eyes, Shui, Zhong Yi, and Jiang Jiang were a family of three. Xiang Yi was superfluous. It was right to scold the mistress. On the contrary, there was a moral problem. There was a mistake in their thinking. They were openly supporting the mistress. Chapter 355. Most of the time, the more people there were, the more reason there was. As long as the moral high ground was high enough, they could judge others to their heart's content. What was the truth? Was it important? People always believed in what they thought was the truth. Just when the netizens in the live stream thought that they had done justice, Shui rubbed Xiao Naofu's head and placed it in an empty flower pot next to Sister E. She said gently, don't run around, be careful not to get pricked by the thorns. Xiao Naofu snorted. I'm not afraid. It waved its paw to show off its power, but it happened to be next to a pot of cactus. Meow, 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 meow. The little kitten cried miserably. Xiang Yi, who was at the side, wiped her hands and carried Xiao Naofu back to the living room. However, Shui squatted in front of Jiang Jiang and said seriously, Jiang Jiang, you have to call me uncle. Jiang Jiang felt aggrieved. But you're daddy, I'm not. Shui's voice was gentle, but his attitude was firm. Jiang Jiang, will you call someone else mommy? Jiang Jiang sounded like she was about to cry. No, why? Because I believe you know that if you call someone else mommy, your mommy will be sad. So, if you call me daddy, your real daddy will be sad too. Shui tried his best to speak with logic that children could understand, but Jiang Jiang still burst into tears. I'm sorry, Senior Zhong, I hope you can have a good talk with Jiang Jiang. I don't want this misunderstanding to continue, okay? Shui looked at Zhong Yi. Zhong Yi's lips curled into a bitter smile. Indeed, he hasn't changed. Two contradictory words could appear on Shui at the same time. He was gentle yet cruel. He was really a gentleman most of the time and was polite to everyone. However, in some aspects, he refused to take a step back. She originally had some selfish motives. But now, it seemed that Shui would not tolerate it at all. Zhong Yi closed her eyes and made up her mind. Jiang Jiang, this is Uncle Shui. He's not your father. Your daddy has gone to a faraway place. Jiang Jiang sobbed and asked, then, will I still be able to see daddy? We'll never see him again. Zhong Yi's voice was trembling. Jiang Jiang cried even harder. Zhong Yi comforted her with a soft voice. On the other hand, Shui's gaze remained indifferent. It was as if cold blood was flowing under his handsome appearance. In the live stream, countless viewers felt upset because of Jiang Jiang's tears. The scumbag must die. Sigh, no matter what the adults are like, what did the children do wrong? Jiang Jiang is so pitiful. Zhong Yi is clearly putting on a brave front. I'm going to vomit. I thought the clock couple was real, but I didn't expect Shui to be so selfish. Not only did they not announce it, but they even forced Jiang not to call him daddy. She forced Zhong-yi to lie to the child. Shi Sui would probably be drowned by the overwhelming comments if they were converted into spittle. In the living room of the villa, Xiangyi applied some aloe vera gel on Xiao Naofu and bandaged it simply. Li Jianyu and Wan Qing rushed over in time and gestured for the cameraman to film little Shiji's daily life for a while before telling Xiangyi to turn off the microphone on her clothes. Sister E. Jiang is not Shi Sui's daughter. Li Jianyu explained anxiously. Xiangyi said calmly, yes, I know. Li Jianyu heaved a sigh of relief and said, Sister E, you're so smart. Wan Qing was speechless. What kind of man is this? It was obvious from the little girl's expression that she was jealous. Chapter 356. Li Jianyu was still babbling. Sister E, don't worry, there's nothing going on between Mr. Shi and Zhong-yi. Xiangyi said, ah, is that so? Li Jianyu said, they just worked together in a movie. Because their scenes together were so spectacular, they have a bunch of fans who love them together. Xiangyi said, oh, I see. But most of the couples in the entertainment industry are fake. It's either a publicity stunt or just a figment of the imagination of the fans. Wan Qing covered his mouth and asked with a smile, how's Xiao Naofu? It's alright, it's just a little pricked. Xiangyi placed it in the kitty villa, but Xiao Naofu refused to sleep and insisted on occupying little Shiji's kennel. It lay flat on the ground with its buttocks sticking out. Maybe, you can talk to Shi Sui, Wan Qing suggested. Xiangyi said calmly, you've misunderstood. There's nothing for the two of us to talk about. We just work together on a variety show. Most of the couples in the entertainment industry are fake. The two of us are no exception. Wan Qing coughed, wanting to remind her that Shi Sui was right behind her. However, Xiangyi was still calmly narrating. We're not a real couple. It doesn't matter to me whether he has a child or not. Me too. She paused, seemingly not trying to convince Wan Qing but trying to hypnotize herself. I'm just a fan of his. The man at the door was tall and slender. He was standing against the light and his handsome face was hidden in the darkness, making it impossible to tell his emotions. Li Jianyu held his breath, not daring to make a sound. What kind of hell is this? Wan Qing hesitated for a few seconds and asked tentatively, so, you don't like Shi Sui at all? Li Jianyu's gaze was vivid as if to say, Sister Wan, are you crazy? In the next second, Xiangyi said in a huff, I don't like her. The figure at the door paused stiffly for a few seconds. A moment later, the man left. Boom! Li Jianyu's heart was about to break. He hadn't even had the chance to witness the untimely beginning, but was he going to witness the untimely end? But, Wan Qing asked again, you really don't like it? She smiled and said, Zhong-yi and Shi Sui are together now, and they have a child together. The three of them seem to be a good family. Li Jianyu looked at Wan Qing in disbelief. Sister Wan, why are you fanning the flames? But he didn't expect something unexpected to happen. The room was silent. Xiangyi didn't answer the question. She just held the cat teaser and seriously teased the air. Li Jianyu was confused. Sister E, are you blind? Xiao Naofu is obviously in the kennel. Why are you waving the cat stick at the cat kennel? The corners of Wan Qing's lips curled up. There were some things that could be conveyed without words. She walked up and patted Xiangyi on the shoulder. I forgot to tell you something. Today's two mystery guests are related to you. Xiangyi, Before she finished speaking, a kind and warm voice came from the door. Good girl, Tutu, Grandma is here to see you. Xiangyi's eyes, which were originally gloomy, immediately lit up. Grandma. Madame Xiang entered the entrance and yelled, Old man, since you're already here, why are you standing at the door? Xiang Yin's stubborn voice came from outside the door. What do you know? I'm just enjoying the scenery. Madame Xiang covered her mouth and snickered. She whispered to Xiangyi softly, ignore him. He got up early in the morning and changed into more than 10 sets of clothes in order to attend your show today. I've never seen such a shameless old man. Chapter 357. Xiangyi imagined old Mr. Xiang changing into different sets of clothes, feeling both touched and teary-eyed. She turned her face away to hide the emotions in her eyes. Madame Xiang sensed that Xiang Yi was behaving strangely and raised her hand to touch her little head. Her movements were gentle and affectionate as ever. Did you encounter something that made you upset? Tell me about it. It's nothing. You can lie to others, but you can't lie to Grandma. Madame Xiang coaxed. If you have any grievances, feel free to tell me. Grandpa and Grandma are here to support my dear Tutu. Although Xiang Yin was pacing back and forth outside the door, he kept peeking into the living room from time to time. When he saw the door, he barked angrily, "Which blind fool bullied you?" Xiang Yi sniffed and said, "It's really nothing." She was not afraid of being wronged. She was afraid that her family would show her concern after she was wronged. Madame Xiang said in displeasure, "What are you yelling for? Are you trying to show off your loud voice? Don't scare my dear Tutu." Xiang Yin was speechless. He gritted his teeth and lowered his voice. "Have you forgotten what I taught you when you were a child? If you encounter anything, you must tell your family as soon as possible." The Xiang family taught their children from a young age that their family would always be their strongest support. Hence, the children of the Xiang family were known for being united and the elders were also known for being protective. Xiang Yin once got into a fight with the parents of the naughty child who lifted Xiangyi's skirt in kindergarten. At that time, he said, "If you don't teach your child a lesson today, I'll teach you a lesson," which was regarded as a classic quote. I didn't forget. Xiangyi smiled, not wanting the two elders to worry about her. "Grandpa, Grandma, please take a seat first. I'll go pick some fruits for you." Xiang Yi went out with the bamboo basket. Li Jianyu was used to being carefree, so he went back to work. Wan Qing stayed in the living room for a while and briefly explained what happened just now. She didn't express any subjective emotions and simply stated that Jiang had misunderstood Shi Sui as her father before leaving too. Xiang Yin frowned and said, "This rascal, he's not worthy of my granddaughter at all." Madame Xiang took a sip of tea unhurriedly and said, "It's your granddaughter's fault for falling in love with him." "What did you say?" "Impossible. That's impossible." Madame Xiang rolled her eyes. "If Tutu doesn't like it, do you think it will affect her mood?" Xiang Yin fell silent. Xiangyi could be said to have been brought up by them, so they knew the little girl's character best. She was a calm and patient child. She would not be annoyed even if she read a boring medical book for an entire day. She would not cry even if her fingers were to bleed from playing musical instruments. As long as she set her mind on something, she would do it without any distractions. It seemed that nothing could affect her. But now, Shi Sui was one more person who could affect her. At the thought of this, Xiang Yin felt extremely vexed. Madame Xiang was meticulous. She thought about it more than he did. She straightened her collar and said, "I'm going to live stream now. Is the most important thing now? Let our Tutu realize her error and mend her ways. Don't let that wretched man steal her away." Madame Xiang looked at him sympathetically and said, "Haven't you ever thought that it's our Tutu who wants to steal someone else?" Xiang Yin was dumbfounded. The two old men arrived at the glass greenhouse, and Zhong Yi happened to come out with Jiang. Jiang walked towards Shi Sui, her eyes red from crying. "Uncle, I'm sorry." Shi Sui expressed assent indifferently and picked up the kettle to water the plants that had just been repotted. The corner of his shirt was gently tugged, and he looked down. Jiang's eyes were full of anticipation. "Uncle, can you be my daddy?" Chapter 358. Little Lolita was innocent and her eyes were red. If it were anyone else, their heart would have softened. However, Shi Sui was indifferent and he didn't even stop watering the flowers. "I'm sorry, Jiang." Shi Sui didn't say anything else, but Jiang had already understood what he meant. Tears welled up in her big, black grape-like eyes and she slowly let go of the corner of Shi Sui's shirt. The viewers of the live stream broke out into an uproar again because of this scene. I've never seen such a cold-blooded father. Even if she's not his biological daughter, she's still young. What's wrong with coaxing her? Madame Xiang stepped forward and comforted her softly. Jiang, do you want some candy? She took out a toffee-acito from her pocket. Shi Sui was speechless. He suddenly understood why Sister Yi's family gave her candy to coax her. Jiang hesitated for a moment, but in the end, she couldn't resist the temptation of the candy. She took the toffee-acito and said in a soft and tender voice, "Thank you, Grandma." "You're welcome." Madame Xiang was very approachable, and she was the kind of grandmother who was especially popular with children. Jiang, can you tell Grandma why you call this uncle Daddy? Jiang looked at Shi Sui and then at Zhong Yi. After a while, she said slowly, "Because Mommy showed me a photo of Daddy. Uncle and Daddy look very alike. But just because they look alike doesn't mean that they're the same person, right?" Jiang nodded. Madame Xiang easily dealt with little Lolita and looked up at Shi Sui. "Shi Sui, Grandma watched you grow up and I believe you're a responsible man. Is Jiang your daughter?" The netizens in the live stream immediately perked up. Will the tables turn this time? However, Shi Sui sighed helplessly and said, "Grandma, I've never even had a girlfriend before. How can I have a daughter?" The netizens were flabbergasted. Is this for real? Shi Sui is still denying it? Not far away, Zhong Yi's face turned pale. She pursed her lips and tried to change the subject. "Where's Miss Xiang? I want to ask her how much insecticide she put in." Madame Xiang suddenly asked, "Miss Zhong, forgive me for being nosy, but may I ask if Shi Sui is Jiang's biological father?" Madame Xiang's intuition told her that there was something wrong with Zhong Yi. Her attitude was too vague. This naturally made it easy for people to misunderstand. It was clearly something that could be explained in one sentence, but she kept avoiding the important points and dwelling on the trivial ones. It was inevitable that she would give people space to let their imaginations run wild. The old lady looked elegant and gentle, but in fact, she had a strong vibe. Her eyes seemed to be able to see through people's hearts. Seeing her, Zhong Yi's heart skipped a beat. She clenched her fists and said hoarsely, "Is it that important?" Jiang misunderstood and her eyes lit up again. "Mommy, are you lying to me? Is uncle an uncle or papa?" This time, before Madame Xiang could say anything, Xiang Yin hollered loudly. "This woman comrade, parents are children's role models. Please teach by example and by word of mouth. Teach your own children well." Zhong Yi's emotions froze. The netizens in the live stream who were enjoying the show were dumbfounded. Did I hear wrongly? Xiang Yin called Zhong Yi a woman, a woman. Someone immediately retorted passionately. Huh, did he call her a woman? Does he know how to respect women? The old lady is being unreasonable and the old man is being overbearing. This family is so ill-mannered. The bad guys have really aged. For the sake of their granddaughter, they're hurting others so brazenly. Chapter 359. There were plenty of people who sympathized with Zhong Yi and Jiang's encounter, but their sympathy turned into anger. They desperately needed an outlet to vent their anger. First, it was Shi Sui, and now, it was Xiang Yin and Madame Xiang. Zhong Yi was usually addressed as sister, so it took her a while to accept the title of comrade. Zhong Yi's heart was filled with bitterness. Of course, she could guess that Xiang Yin and Madame Xiang were backing Xiang Yi up. She really envied Xiang Yi, who was doted on so much. Jiang, I'm sorry, I lied to you. Uncle Shi Sui is not your father. Zhong Yi finally came clean. Jiang's eyes were full of disappointment. Then, where's Daddy? She asked eagerly. Daddy, he's no longer in this world. It took Zhong Yi a lot of effort to tell the truth. He has become a star in the sky to protect you, Jiang. The 3-year-old Jiang didn't quite understand, but she could feel the sadness in her mother's body. Tears rolled down her cheeks, breaking her heart. The audience watching the live stream froze in front of the screen. Zhongyi means that Jiangjiang's father has passed away. Madame Xiang couldn't bear to see the child cry, so she took the initiative to coax Jiangjiang. Zhongyi pursed her lips and looked at Shui. Can I talk to you? Li Jinyu gestured for the cameraman to leave, but Zhongyi said, it's okay, you can film. It also meant that she agreed to live stream the conversation between her and Shui. The two of them walked towards the vegetable field like old friends taking a stroll. However, Shui maintained an appropriate social distance from her. He was gentlemanly and distant. Zhongyi noticed this small detail and a look of self-deprecation flashed across her eyes. Indeed, Shui's misogyny is as bad as ever. I want to apologize to you, Shui, I'm sorry. It's because Jiangjiang's father has already passed away before she was born. He was a doctor who unfortunately met with an accident when he was participating in an international volunteer event abroad. Zhongyi lowered her eyes. Her beautiful face was filled with pain. But I wanted to selfishly leave something for Jiangjiang. So, when Jiangjiang asked about her father, I showed her the stills of you in Untainted and lied to her that it was her father. Shui had slimmed down to look like a paper doll for the sake of the role of Dustless. In the stills, Shui had applied makeup and filters, so he looked slightly different from the real Shui. However, they were the same person after all. Hence, when Jiangjiang saw him, she felt that Shui resembled her father. The netizens who had been the most aggressive in the live stream were dumbfounded. What the hell? All this wasn't because Shui was a scumbag, but because Zhongyi was lying. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean anything else. I just didn't want Jiangjiang to feel like a child without a father. Zhongyi lost control of her emotions and covered her face with her hands to block her tears. Actually, you don't look like him at all. He's not as good looking as you are and he's not as tall as you are, but he's really, really good. At the end of her sentence, Zhongyi was already a little incoherent, but one could tell that she was referring to Jiangjiang's biological father. Shui's eyes were deep and dark. He lowered his eyelids and the emotions in his eyes were thin and cold. Senior, my condolences. I think you need to be alone for a while. As soon as he said that, the Shui couple was completely heartbroken. Shui, you scumbag. You're heartless. Chapter 360. Can't you coax her? Can't you at least give her a tissue instead of a hug? Doesn't Shui's family love to brag about their high EQ? Why aren't they bragging now? How can they leave a girl to cry? However, Shui's sisters were displeased to see that Shui had been criticized. In the beginning, they had some scruples and were worried about the relationship between Shui and Jiangjiang. Now that they had clarified it, they no longer had any concerns. A couple is a couple, but they are two different people. Smile, smile, the two of them are just seniors and juniors. They can't even be considered friends. What's wrong with leaving Zhongyi alone? To those who are criticizing scumbags, I hope you all find a warm boyfriend who can coax other girls take away our Shui. A gentleman is not equal to a central air conditioner. Thank you. Although Zhongyi had fans, they were no match for Shui. In just a few minutes, the comments in the live stream returned to peace and tranquility. The reason was none other than that they couldn't win against Shui. In the face of absolute popularity and power, Shui would crush them as soon as she made a move. Shui didn't return to the glass greenhouse and instead went to the vegetable field. The fence had already been fenced and there was only one last step left, painting. Shui held a small brush and lowered his head to slowly brush the white paint. Soon, he heard the familiar sound of footsteps, and the corners of his lips curled up slightly. He had successfully waited for the rabbit to appear. He raised his head, his long and narrow peach blossom-shaped eyes curving upwards. When he smiled, he always looked affectionate. Xiangyi slowly returned from the orchard with a basket of fruits. The fence was the only way to get there. Sister Yi, you've picked so many fruits, Shui greeted. Xiangyi replied with a obviously colder than usual. The netizens were appalled. No way, no way, is untimely wedding going to fail too? I have a bold idea. Is Sister E jealous? Xiang Yi looks so much like Rua when she's sulking. She's just like her brothers when they pretend to be aloof. Xiang Yi was about to leave expressionlessly, but she couldn't help but glance at Shi Sui. The hand injury left behind by the obsessive fan, all is well year-round, had not completely healed. He could only use one hand to paint. Although he painted very evenly and meticulously, not only was the speed slow, but it also looked very laborious. Xiang Yi couldn't take another step. Shi Sui asked gently, "Why don't you go back? It's too sunny here. Be careful not to get sunburned." Seriously, she was too worrisome. Xiang Yi slowly walked to Shi Sui's side and said awkwardly, "I'll do it." "You go back." Shi Sui said, "It's okay. I can do it." Xiang Yi said, "No, you can't." Shi Sui couldn't help laughing. "How do you expect me to answer that?" Before Xiang Yi could answer, the netizens in the live stream had already started spamming, "Shi Sui can't do it." Xiang Yi snatched the brush from Shi Sui's hand and stuffed the fruit into his hands. She said fiercely, "Go eat the fruit. Leave this to me." Shi Sui's eyes were full of smiles. "Sister E, I'm really not as useless as you think. You're so long-winded." Xiang Yi pulled a long face. "You're so noisy." Shi Sui blinked and a moment later, he went to the staff member's side. When he returned, he had a floral parasol in his hand. Whoosh, his well-defined fingers opened the umbrella for Xiang Yi. His voice was gentle and affectionate. "You'll be bored if you're alone. I'll be quiet. Don't mind me, okay?" Chapter 361. The umbrella was so small that it couldn't fit two people at all. Shi Sui covered most of the umbrella over Xiang Yi's head, allowing the sunlight to pour on her shoulders. "Xiang Yi. Up to you." She buried her head in painting, her movements quick and hurried, as if she was trying to hide the restlessness in her heart. Shi Sui didn't say a word and just silently held the umbrella for her. The comments in the live stream had already exploded. Another day of tears for Sister Yi's beautiful love. "Ah, it's not that Shi Sui isn't warm, it's just that you're not the warm one. Holding an umbrella is too sweet, Mommy, I'm eating candy. I'm covering my mouth. Don't cry, Zhong Chong couple. You guys can come and cheer for untimely couple. I guarantee sweetness, I guarantee authenticity." Shi Sui has double standards. To Zhong Yi, "I think you need to be alone for a while." To Sister E, "I'll be quiet. Don't despise your brother, okay?" The fans of the couple were kowtowing, but the marketing accounts wanted to cry but had no tears. The KPI was gone just like that. The more eye-catching the article was, the more embarrassing it was to be slapped in the face. Shi Sui's daughter exposed. It's all a lie. Without the gimmick of Shi Sui's daughter, just the words, Zhong Yi's daughter, couldn't attract much traffic at all. For the sake of click-through rates, some people were so evil that they took an extreme route, and that was, slandering Zhong Yi. All of a sudden, comments such as, "Zhong Yi is pregnant out of wedlock," "Zhong Yi's blood-sucking daughter," and "Zhong Yi and her daughter are trying to ride on Shi Sui's popularity," sprung up like bamboo shoots after a rain. Many netizens felt that they had been cheated by Zhong Yi, and for a while, there was a wave of criticism. She's giving birth to a child before marriage? Disgusting. Their daughter is only 3 years old, and they can't wait to bring her out to make money? Maybe it's all self-directed and self-staged. Negative publicity is still popularity. Of course, there's money to be made if there's popularity. Zhong Yi hasn't made any waves in the past few years, and her works have all been flops. Maybe she's just here to show off her face, and then she's flirting with others. Zhong Yi didn't think that her selfishness would cause such a huge backlash. Xiang Yi brushed the fence as fast as she could. With white railings and green vegetable fields, it looked quite small and fresh. The girl picked a few green and red chili peppers. She turned around and looked at Shi Sui, who was still holding the umbrella, and said awkwardly, "Let's go back." Shui went to return the umbrella. Xiangyi was about to pick up the fruit basket on the ground, but Shui picked it up before her. She chuckled and said, "My brother can still carry it." Xiangyi thought about it. Since it wasn't very heavy, she didn't argue with him. After all, Shui was a fragile and sensitive man. Shui? It wouldn't be good to hurt his pride. The two of them walked side by side on the way back. Xiangyi stood on his left side and found that the exposed fair skin of his collarbone had turned red from the sun's rays. She felt really strange. She didn't know why she was angry at Shui, and she didn't know why she felt sorry for him. She was conflicted and confused. Shui noticed the confused expression on the girl's face and said in a low voice, "Sister E?" Xiangyi suddenly stopped in her tracks. As if she was suddenly enlightened, she suddenly looked at Shui, only to meet his abyss-like dark eyes. Xiangyi thought of a possibility. She, maybe, probably, seemed to. She wasn't a fan of Shui's mother, but a fan of Shui's girlfriend. She had fallen in love with Shui. Chapter 362. Whoosh. It was as if the thousands upon thousands of mountains shrouded in dense fog had dispersed, and something had become clear and profound. Xiangyi was shocked. She actually liked Shui. What if Shui finds out? The filming of Two Under One Roof would take about 2 months and there was still about half of the time left. If Shui found out about her thoughts, then, wouldn't it be very awkward for her to get along with Shui for the next month? "Sister E? Are you okay?" The man's low magnetic voice sounded in her ear. Xiangyi pretended to be calm and asked, "Ahem, what do Senior Zhong and Jiangjiang like to eat?" In a split second, Xiangyi had already thought of a countermeasure. Act as him. In a certain world that she had transmigrated to, she had also played many supporting roles in order to help the protagonist win the Best Actress award. She felt that she wasn't particularly bad. So, Shui shouldn't be able to find out. Little did she know that Shui had noticed her abnormality almost immediately. He was more sensitive to people's emotions than ordinary people. The man raised his long eyebrows and said, "I'm not sure." He had worked with Zhongyi before, but he didn't know her tastes at all. Or rather, he didn't care at all. Xiangyi pretended to be calm and said, "Oh, I see. I'll ask them later then." "Sister E, are you nervous?" Almost as soon as Shui finished speaking, Xiangyi exclaimed like a cat with its hair standing on end, "No." "Then you." Shui sized her up with a half-smile and his eyes gradually widened. "Why are you walking with your hands and feet in the same direction?" Xiangyi was speechless. She said stubbornly, "Maybe you saw wrongly." However, this scene was honestly recorded by the camera. The fans expressed that they found it adorable. Why is Sister E in a daze? She looks so cute when she walks with her hands and feet in the same direction. Xiang E really looked like a little rabbit when she was frightened just now, the white and soft kind. *CK, I'm going to become a fan of the couple. E is so cute, no man is worthy of her. Ahem, me too. I just want to see a beautiful Missy surrounded by a bunch of puppies. Xiangyi used the fruits she picked, yogurt, and nuts to make a fruit scoop. After busying himself for half a day, he finally got such a cold and sweet bite. It was simply too satisfying. Xiangyi did not add any ice cubes for Jiangjiang's portion. Little Lolita took a bite and her little butt fluttered in happiness. Good, what are you supposed to say when someone gives you food? Jiangjiang blinked and asked in a soft and tender voice, "Is there more?" Zhongyi was confused. The adults in the room were all amused by the children's words. Zhongyi rubbed her forehead helplessly. At this moment, Li Jinyu took the microphone and began to advertise. Good news, Sister E and Shui's double-cover magazine is about to be released. 9.90 yuan, you won't be at a disadvantage if you buy it. Please buy it on the official Weibo account of my style. Also, please pay me the advertising fee. Li Jinyu hereby kneels down and thanks the sponsor. The netizens watching the live stream were appalled. Son, you're so good at advertising. Ha 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 ha. It's finally going to be released. Buy. I must buy it. The photo of Shi Sui holding onto Sister Yi's leg and refusing to kiss her, I bet that photo must be the cover. Damn it. Everyone, go to Weibo. My style is up to something. They've actually separated the male and female versions into AB and AB versions. The two covers are different. Chapter 363. Everyone flocked to Weibo, only to discover that 2 minutes ago, the official account of My Style had updated its status. My Style V, hashtag Shi Sui and Xiangyi Jun cover hashtag I've waited for thousands of years just to meet you at this moment. Mass is not proportional to volume. She attracts me with a mass that far exceeds that of the earth. I want to fall into hell with her. However, at the end of the endless abyss, I see a star. Shi Sui v Xiangyi v. The men's edition A is trapped, the women's edition B is sinking, and the physical edition is shackled by morning star. There were also 3 pre-sale links at the end of the Weibo post, 2 for electronic issues and 1 for physical issues, which would go on sale at 12:00 sharp. MS Magazine usually sold 1 electronic issue and 1 physical issue, but this was the first time there were separate editions for men and women. Many netizens immediately began cursing. Are they crazy about money? I'm going to vomit. What kind of unscrupulous magazine company is this? They brag about the fan economy every day. Do they really take their fans for fools? We're not leaks. However, someone sensed something unusual. Are the 3 versions of the photo the same? If they are, it doesn't make sense for them to sell the same photos 3 times, does it? This question was quickly answered by the official Weibo account. Dear, all 3 versions of the photo are different. And they all have their own focus. Cute. In an instant. Those who knew what was going on immediately understood. In addition to the cover of the magazine, the 2 of them also had an interview, and there were at least several photos in the inside pages. For the male version, there should be more photos of Shi Sui. For the female version, there should be more photos of Xiangyi. As for the physical issue, there should be more photos of the 2 of them. In this case, fans could purchase according to their needs. In a sense, it could also be said to be a personalized service. However, the CP fans wailed. What should I do? I want all 3 versions. Only children make choices. Adults choose to buy all of them. The buyers are not as good as the sellers. Pfft. Unscrupulous merchants. I'll buy it, okay? Collecting and hoarding are human instincts, so I'm just following my instincts and not spending money recklessly. There were also many discussion posts on the well-known gossip forum, Melon, mainly about which version would sell the most. A Shi Sui sister showed up and posted a very professional analysis post. Title, Prediction, Shi Sui version A will sell first, not me eating a keyboard live. Text, combining the data before the age of 10, there is no doubt that he is the absolute ceiling for male artistes. The sales volume of the previous few magazine covers has set records, not to mention the ability to increase luxury goods. He is the kind that even the little fresh meats can't beat. The drawings and tables are as follows. As for the other vase fairy, she had only released 1 single since her debut, and her electronic sales were a joke. Her endorsements were alright, but her sales were mediocre. On the other hand, she inexplicably became popular with dishwashers and electric barbecue plates. She could be considered to have some ability to sell goods. However, a C-lister was a C-lister. How could the light of a firefly compete with the brilliance of the bright moon? Of the 3 versions, Shi Sui version A is the best seller, the double cover version is the second best seller, and the vase fairy version B is the 3rd best seller. By the way, according to MS's usual practice, the first batch of links will probably be about 100,000 copies. I predict that the Shi Sui version A will definitely sell out in seconds. As for the double cover version and the vase fairy version B, I suggest the vase fairy's fans hurry up and raise funds. The post soon reached the top of the trending section, and there were more than 1,000 replies. At this moment, it was 12 o'clock. Chapter 364. In the entertainment industry, the sales volume of a magazine was, in a sense, equivalent to the commercial value of a celebrity. The so-called instant sales meant that the sales volume was within a minute or a few minutes. The higher the sales volume, the greater the purchasing power of the fans, and the greater the celebrity's ability to sell goods. Shurshui's fans rubbed their hands in glee and clicked on the purchase button as soon as the electronic magazine was put on the shelves. The Shurshui sister who posted the post bought Shurshui Edition A and refreshed the page to find that there were no more copies in stock. She clicked on the link to the physical magazine, only to find that there were not many copies in stock. She then clicked on Xiangyi Edition B and found that there were still more than 90,000 copies in stock. Pfft. The girl in front of the screen laughed out loud and immediately took a screenshot and edited it into the main text of the post. Main text: Shurshui Edition A has been sold out. Looking at my purchase record, it should have been achieved in about 2 minutes also. Thank you to the Vase Fairy for contributing to our joke of the year. Her commercial value is about 0. I suspect that her fans are fake fans. However, she was confused by the netizens' replies. Ha ha ha, as long as you're happy. Are you there? Is there something wrong with your eyesight? Another one has gone crazy. Take her away, she's hopeless. She was puzzled until she refreshed the forum and found a post titled, "Have a taste of the strongest fan club in history." Rewind time to a few minutes ago. On Weibo, Yan Nai and his father, Yan Zhenhua, reposted the Weibo post of MS magazine. Yan Zhenhua: ha ha ha, little girl, have you grown up? I'm craving it. I'll buy a few copies as payment for my food expenses. Yan Nai: sister, I'll give you all my New Year's money to support you. Clench your fists. Then, the boys of C7 followed suit. Jiang Chen: sister, you're so beautiful. I love Edition B. Shen Ci: sister's magazine, I have to buy it. Soon, Yin Jiangxue and her husband also reposted the post. Yin Jiangxue: wow, our little cutie looks so good in this photo. I'm going to buy it for my collection. Xinguang: my wife is right. Then, it was Xiangyi's family group. Little Uncle Xiang Feng yelled in the family group chat and forwarded the post. Badeo President V, little Xiangyi, I'll cover your cover today. In the training room. Xiang Yu logged onto Weibo in the midst of his busy schedule. Logic Smog V, is there a PS expert? Later, please help me Photoshop a single photo of my sister. The price is negotiable. Abroad. Xiang Qi set an alarm and got up in the middle of the night. Hades V, my sister is the cutest in the world. I won't accept any rebuttal. At the Research Institute. Xiang Li was in the middle of writing the latest research report when he suddenly stopped and said gently, sorry, give me a minute. I have to support my sister. Help? What was that? Under the confused gazes of a group of scientists from various fields, Xiang Li calmly took out his phone and reposted the Weibo post. Xiang Li V, cheering for little sister. Come on, little sister. At the law firm. Sanction sorted out the documents for the court session in the afternoon and looked at the two young girls opposite him. Miss Chiao, Miss Su, I have something important to do before lunch. Guardian and her good friend were nervous and at a loss. They thought he was going to do something big, but the next second, he clicked on the Weibo icon and reposted the post seriously. His expression was cold and his words were concise. Tutu brother V, buy it. Guardian and Guardian? This is the big thing you were talking about? Chapter 365. These Weibo posts were screenshotted and posted. It was the post, let's see what it means to be the strongest support group in history. The netizens were stunned to see the famous directors of the entertainment industry, top celebrities, young hunks, respected veteran actors, gaming gurus, famous designers, medical doctors, and top lawyers supporting Xiangyi. What the F***CK? What kind of luxurious lineup is this? This is probably Mary Sue's favorite heroine in novels. I just saw that the official Weibo accounts of the Chinese Folk Music Association and the Traditional Chinese Medicine Association have also reposted it. There was no need to mention how envious the other fans were. This kind of support was really not something that everyone could get. Shusui's sister, who had posted just now, gritted her teeth in front of the screen. She was a fan of Shusui, but she was also an anti-fan of Xiangyi. She was extremely upset about the two of them being a couple, so she couldn't stand Xiangyi at all. She couldn't help but mock and ridicule under the post. So what if there are so many people supporting her? Every one of them was just talking. Why don't they buy it? Our Shusui sold it in 2 minutes. What about her? Can she sell it out in 200 years? Smiley face. As soon as she posted it, she was rebuked. The data hasn't been tabulated yet. I clicked on it a minute ago, but I didn't manage to buy it. However, the inventory page is malfunctioning, and it keeps showing more than 90,000 copies. Keep bragging. Can the vase fairy be that impressive? Shusui's version A sold out in 2 minutes, but she can sell out her version B in 1 minute? Isn't she afraid that others will laugh at her? She snorted and replied sarcastically, Her? She can sell it in seconds? Then I'll go to heaven. As soon as she replied, a notification popped up on Weibo, showing that MS had posted a new post. She clicked on it and was instantly dumbfounded. Someone had indeed sold it in seconds, but it wasn't Shusui, My Style V. #Shusui Xiangyi June cover #congratulations at Shusuv's A edition of the e-magazine was completed in 2 minutes and 36 seconds, the achievement of selling 100,000 copies. Congratulations to at Xiangyi V for selling 100,000 copies of the B edition e-magazine in 59 seconds. It set a new record in the history of My Style. At the same time, congratulations to the two of them for the achievement of selling 100,000 copies in 5 minutes and 1 second for the physical issue of Confined to the Morning Star. The entire circle was in an uproar. Female artist, 59 seconds, 100,000 copies? Good heavens, even if there was support, this number was still shocking. When Xiangyi's fans saw this Weibo post, they all felt proud. Sister E is so outstanding. Roaring at the top of his lungs, SOSO, low key, low key. Our EZ isn't that impressive, awesome. It felt so good. After being slandered for so long, he could finally hold his head high. That's how impressive our E is. Bullshit. Someone even tagged Shursui's sister. Haha, does your face hurt, you there? Is the keyboard ready? If not, I'll send you one. I heard that you're going to heaven. I've prepared the sunflower seeds and a small stool. When are you going to perform? That person didn't reply for a long time. After a while, everyone realized that she had actually deleted her account. She can't afford to play, can she? Some were happy while others were worried. Untimely Weibo was a hot topic. Who still remembers that it's a double cover this time? Sob, 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 sob. Are we too lousy? The sales are actually at the bottom. No. Sisters. It's been so long, but Shusui still hasn't won Sister Yi's heart. He's useless. Oh no, I actually think that makes sense. Chapter 366. In the trending topics, the netizens vividly interpreted the hashtag when I'm ruthless, even the couple I'm dating will be hateful hashtag. Hence, a topic quietly climbed to the bottom of the trending topics on Weibo. When Sichuanbai saw the hashtag Shurindi is useless hashtag, his expression was exactly the same as the old man on the subway. In the past, he had predicted that Shusui would be on the trending topics and had prepared the corresponding public relations. Recently, the trending topics were getting more and more confusing. Shurindi is useless? What kind of public relations is this? If it was public relations, others would say, look at Shusui and his team, they're guilty. If it wasn't public relations, others would say, TSK, I can't tell that he's so weak at such a young age. The top manager sighed heavily as he looked at his phone. It's too difficult for me. Similarly, Xiangyi's manager, Nan, was in a difficult situation. He had been worried sick that he wouldn't be able to sell his obedient version B. Until he saw the Weibo post about the sales. 59 seconds. 100,000 copies. Did he see wrongly? Before Nan could react, his phone was bombarded with calls from various media outlets and business partners. To put it simply, Xiangyi was on fire. However, the problems that followed were also obvious. An artist didn't just need a manager, they needed a team. Now, although Xiangyi had become the boss of Tomato Entertainment in name, she didn't have a team. With so many things piling up, Nan felt powerless. It was too difficult. I don't deserve it. He even had a feeling of wanting to shrink back. Should I resign? Just as this thought flashed through his mind, his phone rang. When he saw the caller ID, he rubbed his eyes hard before answering the call. Mr. C? Are you looking for me? Si Chuanbai's serious and deep voice came through the receiver. From today onwards, my team and I will be in charge of handling Miss Xiangyi's management business. Really? That's great. In that case, Xiangyi would have the most professional management team. However, his happiness only lasted for 3 seconds before Nan realized something. He drooped his head and asked dejectedly, so am I going to lose my job? Si Chuanbai. You're thinking too much. Nan sobbed. You don't have to comfort me. I understand. I'll pack my luggage now and go to Little Rabbit Farm to raise piglets. I heard that they use science to raise pigs and turn knowledge into reality. In any case, I went to university before. Woo-woo, I should be able to apply, right? Si Chuanbai rubbed his eyebrows. Why was Little Rainbow? What do you mean by raising piglets? I think you want to eat piglets. Sorry, I didn't express myself clearly. My team and I will assist you. Knowing that he would not face the crisis of unemployment, Nan was rejuvenated. He suddenly thought, then, what about Shui? Si Chuanbai said coldly, let him fend for himself. I am now part of Miss Xiangyi's family. In the kitchen Xiangyi and Shui were busy. Li Jianyu announced Shui's sales volume first. Shui bowed to the camera and said, thank you for your support, everyone. A's was made comments, first bow. When it was Xiangyi's turn, Xiangyi stopped washing the vegetables and expressed her gratitude to her fans. More and more people joined in. Second bow. Coincidentally, when Xiangyi turned around, she bumped into Shui. He frowned and looked down at her. One person's idiocy is called idiocy, while a group's idiocy is called happiness. Husband and wife bow to each other. Ceremony complete. Chapter 367. Send him to the bridal chamber and turn off the lights. Wait a minute, isn't Shui impotent? Why don't we crowdfund and send him some pills to nourish his body? Oh, I'm going to laugh myself to death in the comments section sooner or later. There was a sea of joy in the comments section, but the few popular starlets in the entertainment industry were extremely displeased. Some of the fashion and endorsement opportunities that had originally approached them had all gone to Xiangyi. That was how realistic the entertainment industry was. When something was going down, the business world wouldn't even take a second look. When it was popular, the business world would willingly be a spare tire. The starlets would usually fight openly and covertly, but today, they were united against a common enemy and quickly formed a group. The Plastic Sisters flattered each other for a while, and then very tacitly, joined forces to defame Xiangyi. Soon, a lot of negative news about Xiangyi appeared on the internet. What kind of sales legend is this? It's all fake. After removing the fake news, it's already good enough for someone to sell 1,000 magazines. Well, a certain Xiang actress has a bunch of rich brothers. Of course she can buy as many magazines as she wants. Commercial value? Sorry, the vase fairy really doesn't have any. It's all fake prosperity. Would there really be an idiot who would believe that she has fans? She might be fine if one person scolded her, but if a group of people scolded her, there must be something wrong with her. Otherwise, why would they scold her instead of others? The companies behind the starlets all had a lot of marketing accounts, which undoubtedly came in handy at times like this. They were ridiculing Xiangyi from all angles, as if the 100,000 copies sold by her brothers were all fake figures. Commercial value was an important standard in the business world to measure artists. Seeing so much negative public opinion on the internet, some brands couldn't help but back out. Looking for Xiangyi might not be a good choice. She was popular, but she was a little too black-red. After all, no one wanted to find a spokesperson who would attract criticism. Besides, her figures were too exaggerated. In the entertainment industry, male artists had always been the ones who outsold female artists. Since when had female artists ever outsold male artists? At the critical moment, an overseas vlogger posted on Weibo, which attracted the attention of netizens. Nowadays, there were many overseas artists, internet celebrities, vloggers, and so on Weibo. Some of them managed their accounts well and had a considerable number of fans. It just so happened that the vlogger who posted on Weibo would usually share her outfits, skincare, and so on. She had more than 2 million fans. Luna V, hey, I want to ask, can anyone help me buy this? My friends like her very much. There was a picture. It was a screenshot of My Style Xiangyi Edition B. The netizens? Is Xiangyi do overseas vloggers? Someone raised a question in Luna's native language. She no. Fans post 1. She, her videos, her, to, not only is she the ideal type for men, but she is also the ideal type for women. 4, oh my god, someone bought it for me. I'm so happy. Chapter 368. The netizens were dumbfounded. Is this real? Usually, we're the ones who get people to buy overseas skincare products and cosmetics. Now, foreigners are getting people to buy our female artists' magazine covers? At first, some people thought that it was just a publicity stunt. However, some overseas students posted screenshots of overseas magazines, which made people realize how terrifying Xiangyi's popularity was overseas. I'm shocked. So the vase fairy is not only popular, but she's also really popular overseas? There are 200,000 links to each of the 3 editions. Sister Yi's edition B has been sold out. It's really sold out in seconds. I went to several well-known overseas video websites and found that the number of views on Xiangyi's cooking videos is second only to the videos of our national treasure Panda acting cute. The popular actresses who had teamed up to slander Xiangyi were also confused. How did this happen? Didn't Xiangyi just star in a variety show? How did she become so popular overseas? Those brands who had backed out just now were dying of regret. They hurriedly tried to contact Xiangyi again, only to find that she already had a new management team, gold medal manager Si Chuanbai and his team. The brands were speechless. Isn't he Sheringi's exclusive manager? Why is he in charge of Xiangyi's management business? Si Chuanbai was much colder than Nan. He quickly filtered through and rejected those that were not suitable for him. Those brands beat their chests and stomped their feet, hating themselves for being a step too late and missing out on such a huge business opportunity. The most vicious slap in the face came from a Weibo post that Shui liked. Badeo President V, woo, what lousy magazine is this? It's limited to 1 copy per account. I'm rich. Let me buy it. Do you hear me? Xiang Feng's incompetent and furious post attracted a lot of laughter from the netizens. After Shui liked the post, everyone suddenly understood the main point. There's a limited purchase? And it's limited to 1 copy? A limited purchase meant that no one could buy hundreds or thousands of copies. The rumor of Xiangyi's brothers spending money to boost sales was dispelled. The netizens were in a daze, still in disbelief. Xiangyi, a female artist, had single-handedly surpassed Shui's magazine sales. She had really recorded a variety show. If there were any good works in the future, he didn't dare to think about it. He really didn't dare to think about it. Untimely super topic. Sure Sway, a man who is always on the front line to protect his wife. My first reaction is that I've eaten candy. My second reaction is that Sure Sway likes her. Sob sob, me too. I feel like my daughter hasn't been enlightened yet. I'm looking forward to her growing up, but I don't want her to grow up at the same time. Her mother fans are so worried. The manner. When lunch was served, Jiang stared blankly at the sumptuous lunch. Did elder sister do all this? Amazing. Jiang praised generously. Jiang, call me auntie, said Zhong-yi. Jiang shook her head and said, no, it's sister. The beautiful ones are all big sisters. Xiangyi had always been very tolerant towards her cubs. She pushed a cup of freshly squeezed strawberry milk over, her eyes gentle and calm. Jiang took a sip and squinted her eyes blissfully. After a few seconds, she sighed like an adult and said, when will I grow up? Madame Xiang asked, Jiang, what do you want to be when you grow up? Jiang exclaimed, I want to marry Sister Yi. Everyone at the table burst into laughter. Sure Sway was the only one who raised his eyebrows. Children are such creatures. They're really annoying. Chapter 369. The netizens watching the live stream were appalled. It's time for the mukbang live stream. Reporting, the takeout has been ordered and the milk tea is ready. Get ready to eat. Over, ha ha ha, Sure Sway's eyebrows are so soulful. He's not going to be jealous of children, is he? Zhong-yi was shocked by the delicious food on the table. Did you make all these? Xiangyi didn't take the credit. Sure Sway and I made them together. Sure Sway said, I'm just an assistant. A look of surprise flashed past Zhong-yi's eyes. As far as she knew, Sure Sway was the type of person who would rather not eat than cook, yet, she's willing to cook. Madame Xiang praised, our dear Tudu's culinary skills are really getting better and better. Xiang-yin humphed and said, that's all. Madame Xiang, if you didn't eat the most, I would have believed your nonsense. As for Xiao Naofu and little Shiji, they also had their own lunches. Little Shiji, who had only eaten dog food before, barked and buried its face into the bowl of food for the first time. Xiao Naofu, on the other hand, turned into a little kitten and ignored its own food to squeeze into little Shiji's bowl. Little Shiji looked at it in bewilderment. Woof. Xiao Naofu barked at it fiercely, woof. I'm going to eat your food, you mutt. Little Shiji hesitated for a few seconds and quietly retreated. It even pushed its bowl towards Xiao Naofu, seemingly hinting for it to eat more. Xiao Naofu initially thought that little Shiji was trying to lure it away from its territory so that it could steal its luxurious seafood rice. To its surprise, little Shiji lay on the ground obediently and watched it eat innocently with watery black eyes. It seemed that it was planning to wait for Xiao Naofu to have its fill before starting. Xiao Naofu suddenly felt that the rice in its bowl was no longer fragrant. What are you looking at? Xiao Naofu was immature and was equivalent to a human child. It bullied little Shiji because it felt that little Shiji had stolen Xiangyi's love. If little Shiji was a bully, it would definitely fight little Shiji to the death. However, little Shiji wasn't. Xiao Naofu felt like it had punched cotton. It stared at little Shiji for a few seconds before reluctantly pushing the bowl back. It even picked up a prawn from its bowl and placed it in little Shiji's bowl. Meow. This hoo-hoo only gave you a prawn because you're too thin and weak. In the next second, little Shiji pressed it onto the ground and began licking Xiao Naofu's head happily. Meow, meow, meow. Xiao Naofu, your mother, don't come over. Stupid woman, save me. Save me. As an internet celebrity cat, Xiao Naofu had its own cameraman and a separate live broadcast room. The netizens inside were all cute and doting, and the style was very harmonious. Xiao Naofu is so pretentious, our Xiao Naofu has grown up, I'm glad. Little Shiji is so domineering. I'm done, cat videos. So embarrassing, I'm too embarrassed to watch. Xiao Naofu struggled to break free from little Shiji's shackles and jumped into Xiangyi's arms, feeling extremely aggrieved. Meow, woo, that annoying mutt licked my fur until it was wet. Xiangyi put down her chopsticks and coaxed it gently. When Xiang Yin saw this scene, he frowned and said with a menacing expression, "Don't worry. Just eat, why are you hugging it?" Xiao Naofu was so frightened that it shrank into Xiangyi's arms. Some netizens commented, I feel like old Mr. Xiang doesn't hate cats but Xiangyi. Chapter 370. This comment gained the approval of many people. Yeah, cats are so adorable. Would anyone hate cats? To be honest, old Mr. Xiang has 4 grandsons, why would he fancy one granddaughter? In ancient times, Xiangyi wouldn't even be listed in the genealogy. Did you guys just realize? I could tell long ago that Xiang Yi's grandfather has been pulling a long face towards the vase fairy. He obviously doesn't like her. As soon as those comments were posted, they were rebutted by Xiang Yi's fans. TSK, you guys found out again. What's wrong with the person who mentioned the genealogy? Times have changed, you've forgotten about it early in the morning. It's just a sentence, yet you're imagining so much. Some people really have nothing better to do. It's not like it's written all over your face. There was a strong smell of gunpowder in the comments. Nowadays, the live stream industry was very developed and the stress that had nowhere to be released in reality was easily vented on the internet. In reality, the mistakes of others could still be tolerated. However, in the online world, as long as there was a slight flaw, they would deal a heavy blow. Xiangyi coaxed Xiao Naofu for a while before placing it on the ground. Xiang Yin immediately said, "Go wash your hands. Use disinfectant and hand sanitizer. Wash your palms as well as the back of your hands. Pets had germs on them and it would be bad if they got infected." His granddaughter's health was the most important thing in the world. When everyone heard his words, they felt that Xiang Yin was being too strict. Got it, Grandpa. Xiangyi obediently went to wash her hands. After washing up, she picked up her chopsticks and ate 2 mouthfuls of food. Xiang Yin began to nitpick again. Tie your hair up. It's covering your eyes. Xiangyi had her hair tied up in a bun, but she left her fringe slightly long because she hadn't cut it in a while. It can't be tied up. She gestured to the length and suddenly found a small hair clip to clip her fringe up, revealing her fair and smooth head. There was a trace of satisfaction in Xiang Yin's eyes. Yes, my granddaughter looks the best when her hair is tied up. In the live stream, Xiang Yin's grandfather is so fierce. I'm shivering in front of the screen. It's true that he hates her. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so picky. Why does it feel so real? My mom also likes to let me comb my hair up to reveal my forehead. However, even though some people were cursing, they were watching with more enthusiasm than anyone else. After the meal, Zhongyi and Jiangjiang had the habit of taking an afternoon nap, but when Jiangjiang heard that Xiang Yin was going to make malt candy, she skipped her afternoon nap and instead scurried over to Xiang Yin's side to watch him. Little Rabbit Farm had sent some half-finished products over. The old man sat in the pavilion, leisurely boiling maltose in a small pot. A gentle breeze blew past, and the flowers by the pavilion fell. The green hills in the distance were faintly discernible. In the courtyard, a few ducks passed by the pond. The scene was beautiful and poetic. There were fewer bullet screen comments in the live broadcast room. Everyone was enjoying the tranquility and warmth of the moment. The old master's movements were skillful and it was obvious that he had done this many times in the past. He used a slender piece of wood chopped from bamboo to boil a round maltose candy. It looked like a lollipop and handed it to Jiangjiang. "Baby, take it." "Thank you, Grandpa." Jiangjiang hugged the maltose candy happily and licked it. It was sweet and warm. She said incoherently, "Yummy." When the netizens saw this scene, they were a little envious. Xiang Yin is so nice, some haters sneered, even his biological granddaughter doesn't receive such treatment. Seems like someone is really annoying. However, Xiang Yin hummed a tune and took out a new piece of wood. He spun it, and the maltose candy in his hand grew larger and larger. The netizens began to feel that something was amiss. Chapter 371. The bright, light yellow maltose candy was emitting steam. Gradually, the candy ball in Xiang Yin's hand became several times larger than the one he gave to Jiang just now. Xiang Yin picked it up and looked at it, but he still felt that it wasn't enough. Hence, he put it in the pot and spun it a few more times. This is for Jiang, right? Jiang is so cute, it's normal for her to be popular with elders. As soon as the pop-up comments appeared, Xiang Yin held the maltose candy and yelled, "Old woman! Have some candy." Madame Xiang and Xiangyi were drinking flower tea in front of the French window. Hearing his words, they smirked and said, "This old man's voice is too loud." The netizens were dumbfounded. They were caught off guard by their public display of affection. Madame Xiang tucked her hair behind her ears and walked towards Xiang Yin. After tasting it, she said, "It tastes all right, but it's old and sticky." Xiang Yin pretended to be angry and barked, "Nonsense. You're not old at all." Jiang chimed in, "Yes. Grandma is not old at all." All women like to hear such things, and Madame Xiang was no exception. She was all smiles. After eating half of it, she got sick of it and stuffed it into Xiang Yin's hands. Xiang Yin had been with her for many years and they could read each other's minds. Hence, he calmly ate the rest. The pop-up comments in the live stream changed abruptly. "Oh my God, Grandpa and Grandma are so sweet. You can only be the king of dogs if you eat the best of the best. Damn it, I'm so jealous." Everyone was moved by the sweetness of Xiang Yin's and Grandma's love, and some even commented that Xiangyi was too miserable. At first glance, that was indeed the case. Jiang and Xiang Yin both had candy, but she was still drinking flower tea all by herself. Without comparison, there would be no harm. Her fans felt a little sorry for her, but the haters were unscrupulous as they mocked her. Some people are just born to be detestable. I can't help it. If I were Xiang Yin, I wouldn't like her either. She's too pretentious. Up to now, the vase fairy has a perfect persona in Two Under One Roof. It would be strange if she wasn't acting. Just as the haters were criticizing Xiangyi, someone discovered that Xiang Yin was still silently brewing maltose candy. This time, the candy balls were even bigger. Not only was it big, but he also continuously molded it into shape. Not long after, a round, bunny-shaped maltose candy appeared in his palm. The old man looked at it and felt that it was not enough, so he continued to carve it carefully with a bamboo stick. After a long while, the old man was finally satisfied. The camera gave a close-up. It was a lifelike little rabbit, cute and delicate. Rabbit? It can't be that coincidental. The next moment, the old man's loud and clear voice resounded in the courtyard. "Good, rabbit. The netizens were speechless. Earphone fans were almost deafened. "Grandpa, your voice almost sent me away. Did I hear that right? The old master called her little bunny?" Under everyone's incredulous eyes, Xiangyi walked briskly into the pavilion. "Grandpa," Xiang Yi said softly, "is this for me?" The old man had a sullen expression on his face, as if he wasn't the one who had called her good tutu just now. He handed the tutu maltose candy to Xiangyi and said coldly, "Eat this." Xiangyi grinned widely, revealing her dimples. "Grandpa, you're so nice, you're the best grandpa in the world." Sweet words. The old man sneered in disdain, but the corners of his mouth curled up uncontrollably. "Is it enough? If it's not enough, there's more. I'll make you a supersized one." The netizens thought, "You call this annoying? He's obviously doting on her." Chapter 372. Xiang Yi's voice was gentle as she sat on the stool next to Jiang and ate her candy obediently. "It's enough." The two of them were eating candy at the same frequency and were so adorable that his heart was about to melt. The smile on Xiang Yin's face deepened. Madame Xiang teased, "Hey, didn't someone say that he hasn't forgiven Tutu yet?" Xiang Yin's expression changed immediately and he stopped smiling. He said coldly and sternly, "Humph. Don't think that I've forgiven her. Now, I've forgiven her at most 2%. Madame Xiang said, "Last time, it was 1% and this time, it's only 2%. Is a meal worth 1%? Then wouldn't my dear Tutu have to cook 98 meals for you? Old man, you're just trying to cheat her out of her food." The netizens in the live stream were amused by old Mrs. Xiang's words. "Ha ha ha, old Mrs. Xiang is so sarcastic. Why did you say that you've forgiven her? What did Xiang Yi do? I suddenly feel that Xiang Yin is the arrogant one. Compared to Sister Yi's brothers, he's so weak." In the apartment, Qin Wanyan, who had recently suspended her work, was watching Two Under One Roof as if she had been possessed. As long as Xiang Yi appeared on screen, she would crazily post negative comments, bicker, nitpick, and make sarcastic remarks. Why is Xiang Yi doing so well and becoming more and more popular? Didn't I end up having to suspend my work and suffer a drop in popularity because of a slip of my hand? Hearing Xiang Yin mention the word forgiven, she sneered and opened the private chat box of a certain marketing account in the court in Nanchang. Today's court hearing was being live-streamed on the court hearing website. Xiao Wan, who was also known as guardian of the best Xiang Yi in the world, on Weibo, was seated in the gallery, so nervous that her palms were sweating. The judge announced that the court was in session and the live stream began. In an instant, many people swarmed into the live stream. When they saw Sanction, who was sitting at the plaintiff's defense lawyer's seat, the comments section suddenly became lively. "Ah, Xiang Yin's suit is so classy. This is Lawyer Xiang's first court appearance in years, right? It's my first time watching a live trial. I'm a little nervous for some reason." The case was quickly sorted out. Xiao Wan's good friend, Xiao Su, got first place in the written interview when she applied for a job. However, the company hired a boy who ranked lower than her because this position was more suitable for boys. The lawyer hired by the defendant's company was also very good. The first thing he did was to change the concept of the case. His style of defense was very eloquent and infectious. He avoided the important points and dwelled on the trivial. He did not mention the gender issue at all. In conclusion, the defendant refused to admit the plaintiff not because of the plaintiff's gender, but because the plaintiff's overall ability was insufficient. Xiao Su's face was pale. The failure of the interview was a huge blow to her. Now that she was going to suffer a second blow, she felt a little uncomfortable physically and mentally. Taking advantage of her poor state, the company's representative attacked her without restraint. "We think that Miss Su has a social disorder. As we all know, a serious social disorder is a psychological illness. Our position is really not suitable for her." In the live stream, some people felt that what they said made sense. That's right. How could they hire a ticking time bomb into the company? Getting first place in the written interview doesn't mean anything. Maybe she has high scores but low abilities. To be honest, this position is indeed not suitable for a girl. Given her age, she's going to get married and have children in 2 years. Who's going to bear the company's losses? Chapter 373. While the group of people were having a heated discussion, Sanction raised his eyebrows slightly in reality. "Are you done?" The man's voice was thin, cold, and low, and it exuded a powerful aura. The two people in the dock subconsciously shut up. By the time they came back to their senses, they realized that they had somehow listened to Sanction's words. Sanction got up and retorted without even looking at the document. "Does the first place in the written test mean that you're not competent enough? In that case, I'm afraid I have to question the professional competence of your company's interviewers. As for mental illness, that's a personal attack. Who says that everyone has to be extroverted? It's precisely because of introverted people that there's diversity. No matter what personality they have, they deserve to be respected. If the person who came in first place in the written test was a man, would you still hire a woman who ranked lower? The answer is obviously no. Not only are you violating the law, you're also morally laughable." After a pause, he sneered. The people in the live stream were dumbfounded and it took a while for the pop-up comments to come back. "Damn, Sanction is so sharp-tongued. If you're not good at literature, you can think of one sentence: Lawyer Xiang is awesome. Well said. He's reasonable and polite. It's a textbook defense. Xiao Wan could no longer hear what the judge said to the defendant's lawyer. The only thing she could see was the tall and imposing figure. He's so suave. Sanchen's style of defense was just like his personality. He hit the nail on the head and was cold and sharp. After a few rounds, he had already gained the upper hand. Xiao Su, who was initially hanging her head low, slowly raised her head and subconsciously straightened her back. Yes, I'm not as bad as the other party. Having regained her confidence, Xiao Su's gaze became resolute. The netizens in the live stream were infected and they began leaving comments to cheer her on. A case of this level was not difficult for Xiang Chen at all. Very quickly, he slayed everyone in the room with a crushing manner. He adjusted his tie with his well-defined fingers and listened coldly to the judge announce the results of the trial. In the end, Xiao Su won the lawsuit. Although she did not receive much compensation, she smiled for the first time in days. Lawyer Xiang, thank you. Xiao Su sniffled and continued, and you, Wan Wan, thank you for helping me so much. Xiao Wan quickly waved her hands and said, No, I didn't do anything. It's all thanks to Lawyer Xiang. Sanchin replied calmly, You're welcome. The three of them left the courthouse and were immediately surrounded by local reporters. Other than a reporter from a legal program, the rest of the reporters were there because of Sanchin's popularity. Reporters from programs such as anti-mediation, matchmaking, and so on all came to join in the fun. Lawyer Xiang, will you take the path of a public interest lawyer in the future? Mr. Xiang, are you interested in joining our dating show? Are you a feminist? What do you think of the sentence, I'm sorry for being born a woman, on the internet? Sanchin was expressionless. He had no intention of cooperating with them at all. However, when he heard a certain question, his eyebrows furrowed. Regardless of whether you were born a woman or a man, there's nothing to be sorry about. There's no need to differentiate between men and women in this world, because too many people don't understand the concept of equal rights between men and women. He had a cold aura and his facial features were profound. His speech affected everyone until Xiao Wan accidentally blurted out. Ah, Brother Dumao is so handsome. Sanchin's expression gradually stiffened. Chapter 374. Xiao Wan's eyes gradually widened in horror. Ah! Why don't I think before I speak? A reporter got the joke and burst into laughter. Smog is Sameogu, Hades is Brother Sanmao, Dr. Xiang is Brother Ermao, and Lawyer Xiang is Brother Dumao. It doesn't seem like there's anything wrong with that. The group of people was about to laugh when they saw Sanchin's cold and handsome face. He raised his eyebrows slightly. Is it that funny? Everyone. It's not funny at all. The reporters gradually dispersed. After thanking Sanchin again, Xiao Su got ready to take the subway. Xiao Wan grabbed her wrist and tried to leave with her, but Xiao Su pried her fingers off one by one. Sister, take care and come back alive. Xiao Wan. At the stairs, only Sanchin and Xiao Wan were left. Sanchin sneered. Brother Dumao. Xiao Wan trembled in fear. This nickname isn't derogatory. Only people who really like Sister E would call you brothers that. Ha. The man chuckled coldly and slowly adjusted his sleeves. Xiao Wan felt a chill down her spine. She felt that Sanchin was like the villain in a movie at this moment. She had a strong desire to live. Lawyer Xiang, I've snatched Sister Yi's e-magazine. Sanchin paused in his actions. He was a step too slow when the competition started just now and didn't manage to snatch a single copy. Instead, Xiao Wan successfully snatched the cover of Shangyi's B edition with her fast hand speed. Lawyer Xiang, look, this photo of Sister E looks so much like the little princess. This photo of Shi Yingdi hugging her makes her waist look so slender. And this photo of the two of them holding hands. Motherf asterisk curs are so satisfied. Oh, this is so untimely. Xiao Wan scrolled through the photos and explained in real time. However, She felt an inexplicable chill. She looked up and realized that Sanction was staring at Shui's hands. His deep eyes narrowed dangerously, and he looked like he wanted to chop off Shui's hands. Qiaowan gulped and tried to explain. Actually, a two-person cover is already considered a very small. There were some double covers, some kissing scenes, and some seductive driving poses. In her opinion, the photos of Xiangyi and Shui couldn't even be considered as baby strollers. However, in Xiang Chen's eyes, Shui was already a dead man. In order to ease the suffocating atmosphere, Qiaowan dug out a video that was later released by Ms. Magazine. This is edited using behind-the-scenes footage. I heard that it's from the perspective of the vampire, Shui. The previous video released by Ms. Magazine was mainly from the perspective of the little princess. This time, it was the other way around. She clicked on it and saw that it was still in a retro dark style. The young and handsome vampire was dressed in a gorgeous and exquisite retro suit. He happened to encounter the innocent the little princess in the forest. His nonchalant gaze slowly became extremely aggressive. He wanted to destroy that purity. Then, it was a step-by-step calculation. However, what the vampire didn't expect was, he was the first to fall into her trap. Rather than saying that he led the little princess to fall into his trap, it was more accurate to say that he fell into the sweet trap of the little princess. Just right, it echoed the theme of falling into his trap and deep in his trap. The scene changed to a dim and beautiful castle. The vampire held the back of the little princess's head tightly, and the scene of them kissing was seductive. Unexpectedly, in the next second, the little princess grabbed his tie. Her fair and soft fingers curiously and innocently touched his Adam's apple. Then, they moved down bit by bit. The two of them looked at each other. The video stopped abruptly. Chapter 375. Qiaowan suppressed her excitement and finished watching the video. When the video ended, she shuddered and sobered up all of a sudden. It's over, it's over. Sister Yi's flirting is sweet, but will Lawyer Xiang beat his sister up too? Qiaowan was on tenterhooks when she heard a gritting voice coming from above her head. My tutu has been led astray just like that. Qiaowan, huh? Instead of learning from the good, you're learning from the bad. Xiang Chen cracked his fingers and sneered. You're a dog. It was obvious who he was referring to. Qiaowan suddenly felt that Shui was going to lose his leg. As soon as the Weibo post was posted, the comments section exploded. Oh my god, what kind of amazing editing is this? The little princess has fallen into depravity, but she's also a vampire immortal. Sisters, you like her so much. Damn, damn, damn. Shui's gaze was so lustful when Sister Yi touched his Adam's apple in the last scene. If it weren't for the fact that they were filming, Shui would have eaten braised tutu. Tutu is so adorable. Wouldn't it be more delicious if she was steamed in hot water? I miss Sister Yi's cold rabbit soup. When can Little Rabbit Farm come out with a similar dish? What kind of magic does Sister Yi have to make you guys change the topic like that? Xiangyi's flirting was treated as a trump card. And now, the trump card had worked. The third and fourth batch of links were still selling like hotcakes. Those who were close to the warehouse where the physical copies of the magazines were distributed quickly received the physical copies. The cover of Morning Star used a photo of Xiangyi tugging at Shui's necktie. Their gazes met, and there was a clash of provocation and abstinence, as well as a clash of seduction and depravity. The atmosphere was full of storytelling. In the interview, other than the usual questions, there were also the two people's understanding of the story. Xiangyi, it's a very romantic story. I think both the little princess and the vampire are very lonely. They don't have any good friends, so they are attracted to each other. Although the shooting style uses dark elements, I think the vampire is very gentle. He didn't hurt anyone. Shui, I think Sister Yi is right. It was more like redemption than depravity. On the surface, it was the vampire who had trapped the little princess. In fact, the little princess had also trapped the vampire. However, both parties were willing to do so. The little princess was like a star to him. The fans of the untimely couple were completely intoxicated by it. I don't care, I don't care. I've already replaced Sister E with Shui Xingxing. Ha ha ha, I think Sister Yi's understanding is a fairy tale, while Shui's understanding is a love story. I'm different. I can imagine the 100,000 word content that's not allowed to be described on QQ. Sob sob sob, don't spout nonsense. Xiang Yi is still a child, what if she sees this? By 7:00 in the evening, MS's Weibo post had been reposted more than 100,000 times and liked hundreds of thousands of times. In a sense, Untimely Couple had really stepped out of the entertainment circle and entered the public eye. The number of fans who were in favor of the couple also increased rapidly. Just as everyone was in harmony, a certain marketing account released a video titled Interview with Xiangyi's Ex-Fiancé. Countless people were puzzled. After clicking on it, they realized that the main character of the video was a greasy man in his 30s. Xiangyi is a big star now? She's the one? Ha ha ha, she was the one who chased me back then and insisted on eloping with me. Chapter 376. Of course I didn't get together with her. How could I possibly fancy a woman like her? The man in the video had facial features that could barely be considered handsome, but his words were disrespectful to women, and he would often talk about life principles. He even bragged about how big his internet celebrity company was. It was a vivid interpretation of a phrase, he was old and cunning. Spicy Tutu, Xiangyi's fans, who had just seen the video, were enraged. Sister E eloped with you? Dream on. This man. I'm so embarrassed that I've dug my toes out of 3 rooms and a living room. Spreading rumors requires a lot of effort, but refuting them requires a lot of effort. There must be a bottom line even when it comes to creating hype, okay? However, the male lead of the video had probably tasted the sweetness brought about by the popularity of the video, as he soon released a second video. At that time, we had already met each other's parents. Of course, I didn't fancy her. But she pestered me too much and insisted that I marry her, but her family didn't agree. In order to see me, she even climbed over the wall at home. Oh, yes, for my sake. She even made her grandmother faint from anger and sent her grandfather to the hospital. There's nothing I can do about it, I'm just the kind of person that young girls like. The man continued to expose the video. This time, he was obviously much more experienced. Behind him was the logo of his internet celebrity company. As he spoke, he showed everyone the chat history between him and Xiangyi. Just as he said, the Xiangyi in the chat history showed a strong desire to get married, and frantically expressed her love for the man. She even said that she was willing to bear his children after marriage and be a full-time housewife. The strong contrast made the netizens dumbfounded. This was simply a case of a goddess becoming a bootlicker. The old fans tried their best to explain that this must have happened during the period of amnesia. However, many fans who had just fallen into the trap expressed that they couldn't accept such a side of Xiangyi. There were even several famous bloggers with millions of fans who posted condemnation. The value of a woman definitely doesn't revolve around cooking in the kitchen, let alone being a fertility machine. At Xiangyi V, I hate your persona and despise your worldview. I'm so angry. It's precisely because there are women like Xiangyi that men look down on women. How many seniors have spent countless efforts to tear off the labels on women? Now, you are putting labels on women one by one and putting shackles on them. Filial piety is the most important of all virtues, and Xiangyi is a real unfilial daughter. Filial piety is a traditional virtue in our country. If celebrities can't do it, then wouldn't they be setting an example for their fans to be unfilial? I call for a boycott of Xiangyi. Boycott, 2 under 1 roof. Qin Wanyan spent a large sum of money to bribe those bloggers. When she saw countless netizens scolding Xiangyi, she instantly felt that her money was well spent. As for the man who broke the news, she was the one who first found a gossip media outlet and claimed that Xiangyi was not as innocent and naive as the netizens thought. On the contrary, she had a dark history of eloping. That gossip media outlet was like a fly that had smelled rotten meat as they found the informant. Coincidentally, the informant also wanted to ride on the hype. Hence, both parties hit it off and came up with a huge piece of news. Brother Xian, do you have Xiangyi's contact number? We can record a conversation between you and her. It'll definitely go viral, the person in charge of the gossip media outlet suggested. With a look of guilt in his eyes, Exianu said stubbornly, her number has already been changed. What about her family? How many brothers, or grandparents? I'm taking a leave of absence. I'll make up for it tomorrow. Good night equals W, smiley face. Chapter 377. Exianu said vaguely, her brothers are all very busy. Even if I call them, they might not answer me. In fact, he didn't even have the contact information of Sengchen and the others. There was actually nothing between Exianu and Xiangyi. At that time, Xiangyi was just eager to get rid of the Xiang family. After all, he was a man in his 30s and she couldn't hide her intentions from him at all. Besides, it wasn't that he didn't fancy Xiangyi, but rather, the Xiang family didn't fancy him at all. However, Exianu felt that it wouldn't be a big deal to make use of some dramatic plots. Anyway, the hype would bring about popularity. In just a short while, there were plenty of small internet celebrities who wanted to sign a contract with his company. What about Xiangyi's grandparents? They're doing a live broadcast. If you call them, the popularity will definitely be explosive, the person in charge of the gossip media said. They were not philanthropists. They were taking such a huge risk to expose the news for the sake of money. As for Exianu's life, it was not within their scope of concern. Think about it. If your company becomes the top in the industry and produces an online celebrity, you'll be more impressive than an entertainment star. As Exianu listened, he was tempted. I have her grandfather's number, but I can't guarantee that he will pick up. The person in charge was overjoyed. It's okay, it's okay. If he picks up, we'll write about it. If he doesn't, we'll write about it too. If he doesn't pick up, I'll write something like, Xiang Yi's grandfather treats his granddaughter like dirt, abandons her like an old shoe, and doesn't care about her marriage at all. Exianu said, okay then. A few minutes later, in the gazebo of the manor, Xiang Yin's cell phone rang. Good luck to you, good luck to you, good luck brings joy and love. The down-to-earth ringtone made the staff at the scene burst into laughter. In particular, Li Jianyu's goose-like laughter was very charming, causing the netizens in the live stream to criticize him. Xiang Yin's ringtone is so cute. Son, others are singing, but you're laughing. Director, you don't laugh at my variety show, huh? Humph, I'll lead the way. Xiang Yin looked at the number on the screen. Although he was old, he had a photographic memory. He sneered and hung up the phone. Although Xiang Yin had a bad temper, he wouldn't hang up on others so rudely. Xiang Yi asked curiously, Grandpa, what's the matter? Xiang Yin said, it's all because of that piece of dog skin rash that you provoked. Xiang Yi, question mark. Madame Xiang frowned and asked, Exianu? Who else could it be other than him? Upon hearing this unfamiliar name, Xiang Yi, who was biting the tutu candy, was dumbfounded. Li Jianyu explained tactfully, Sister E is a man who claims to be your ex-fiancé. He's live streaming right now and he's calling your grandfather. It was obvious that he was trying to ride on her popularity. Two Under One Roof was currently a live broadcast program with a stable viewership of more than a few million people. It was extremely influential. Xinu's move was too disgusting. He was obviously trying to ride on the popularity of Xiang Yi and the show. While they were talking, Xinu called again. Xiang Yin was furious. Why did you block his number? After pondering for a moment, Madame Xiang said, give me your cell phone. Xiang Yi's grandfather was puzzled, but out of the habit of loving his wife for many years, his hand reacted before his brain could as he handed the phone to her. Old Mrs. Xiang pressed the answer button and said gracefully and composedly, Mr. Xian, what can I do for you? Chapter 378. On the other end of the line, Xian didn't expect someone to pick up at all. He was flustered for a few seconds before pretending to be familiar with her. Hello, Grandma, I'm Xian. How have you and Grandpa been lately? Xiang Yin flew into a rage. This shameless bastard, how dare he mention that? If it weren't for him, would old Mrs. Xiang have fainted from anger. However, the netizens felt that this ex-fiancé was quite polite. Hence, there were even more comments directed at Xiangyi. Many people's jealousy could be felt through the screen. To be honest, this middle-aged man is good-looking, has a successful career, and is polite too. He's more than enough to be a good match for Vase Fairy. In my opinion, with his qualities, he can get any woman he wants. Xiangyi is just an actress, how can she have the cheek to be picky? TSK, she has such high standards. I think she's just a scheming woman who looks harmless on the surface. If she wasn't picky, how could she be a couple with Shui now? Madame Xiang said calmly, your grandpa and I are doing well. Xinu, how about you? Are your legs okay? On the other end of the line, Xinu choked. His dark history from back then surfaced uncontrollably. He had indeed been to the Xiang family home before. Although he knew that Xiangyi had ulterior motives, he still harbored evil intentions and tried to make things happen. Unfortunately, as soon as he locked the door, it was kicked open. Coincidentally, it was the day of the Xiang family's family gathering and Xiangyi's 4 brothers were all there, hence, Xinu was later hospitalized for 3 months. Having been hit where it hurt, Xinu said in a stiff tone with a trace of awkwardness on his face, Grandma, I actually have something to say to Xiangyi. I wonder if you can give me her contact number? The person in charge of the tabloid media had taught him that. If Madame Xiang refused, he would ask if it was because he was afraid that Xiangyi still had feelings for him. When the time came, he would definitely make the headlines. To his surprise, Madame Xiang said leisurely, if you have something to say it in person. Xinu was stunned. I'll send you the address. That's all for now. Madame Xiang's attitude was gentle but firm. Then she hung up the phone. Everyone was dumbfounded. Only Madame Xiang seemed to be the most independent and clear-headed person. Her smile was kind, but her words were poisonous. Since he wants to broadcast live, let's satisfy him. Instead of blocking his mouth, let's listen to what he has to say. Netizens, ? Sameo Guz, your parents have gone to heaven, was probably inherited from you, Grandma. Xiangyi nodded in agreement. Grandma, what you said makes sense. Madame Xiang gently rubbed her granddaughter's face. Don't be afraid. Grandpa and Grandma will protect our good tutu. Xiang Yin was just about to show off his crutches when he heard Madame Xiang say, Old man, bring me my whip. Li Jinyu got a great shock and hurriedly persuaded, Grandma, we're still in the middle of a live stream, we can't have any violent or bloody scenes. Madame Xiang smiled and said, Why would I? I'm teaching my good tutu how to hit a spinning top. The netizens were dumbfounded. Isn't there something wrong with this? Xinu initially refused to go to the manor. After all, he was worried about his leg. However, under the instigation of the tabloid media, he still made up his mind to go. When he arrived at the manor, the scene in front of him made him dumbfounded. The gray-haired old Mrs. Xiang forcefully whipped the spinning top, creating a thunderous sound in the air. Xinu's legs immediately turned to jelly. Chapter 379. However, Madame Xiang even took the opportunity to explain to everyone elegantly while whipping the whip. Spinning top is an ancient and traditional game. It's a good way to exercise for the elderly. The harder you hit the whip, the faster the spinning top. Glancing at Xinu who had rushed over, Madame Xiang said smilingly, There's another saying among the people, it's called, whipping the wretched. Xinu shuddered. The netizens were appalled. Spinning top, why did you hit me? Aggrieved. JPG, I suspect that Madame Xiang is hinting at Xinu. That's probably an elegant and vicious tongue. Is Xinu trembling? No way, right? Is he that cowardly? Ha, damned old woman, you're taking advantage of your seniority. It's your granddaughter's blessing that he fancies her. If you're sick, get it treated. Our sister E is loved by all. There are plenty of puppies and puppies who adore her. Who cares about such a greasy old man? Sure sway, old man. Thank you, I'm offended. In the live stream, some people were making jokes, some were arguing, and some were being silly. The number of viewers skyrocketed and the pop-up comments were also increasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. The entire screen was densely filled. How is it? Have you learned it? Madame Xiang looked at Xiangyi. The girl said with uncertainty, shall I try? Madame Xiang then handed the whip to her. Xiangyi moved her wrist and tried to swing it twice to get a feel for it. He didn't know what material Madame Xiang's whip was made of. Just by swinging it in the air, the whip cut through the air with a crackling sound. With a whip of the spinning top, the movement was doubled. Xianyu was speechless. He suspected that he would die on the spot if the whip were to land on him. Xianyu put on a fake smile and took the initiative to greet, hello, Grandpa and Grandma. He even nodded at the crew of the program and said, hello everyone, you've worked hard. He had specially changed into a silver-gray suit and combed his hair back, making him look rather handsome. Hearing this, Xiang Yi turned her little face to look at him. The girl's skin was so white that it seemed to glow. After taking care of her body for a while, she had become slightly rounder. Her face looked full of collagen, and her nearsightedness had also improved. She could be said to be beautiful and charming. The most amazing thing about her was her calm and gentle temperament. It was as if no matter how noisy her surroundings were, it would not affect her. Xianyu's heart began to itch. He felt that Xiangyi was even more beautiful than before. If she continued to pester him, he might agree to go out with her. At most, he would just kick her away when he got tired of sleeping with her. Just as this thought flashed through his mind, a cold gaze suddenly locked onto him. When he met Shui's dark and dangerous gaze, Xianyu broke out in cold sweat and didn't dare to look at her again. Mr. Xian, Xiangyi said faintly. Hearing her clear voice, Xianyu refused to give up and leaned forward greedily. Xiangyi, long time no see, did you miss me? Xiangyi took a step back without a trace and distanced herself from him. I heard that you have something to say to me. When he got closer, he seemed to be able to smell the faint fragrance of her hair. Xianyu took a sniff greedily and said, it's not impossible for me to marry you, but I have a condition. Xiangyi was confused. Although she had many questions in her heart, she still maintained her social etiquette. Sorry, I lost my memory previously and it might have caused some misunderstandings. Drop the act. Xianyu was full of confidence. You'd better think it through. If you miss this opportunity, you won't get another one. Chapter 380. Xiangyi frowned slightly. She had never had the habit of interrupting others. Hence, even though she felt that Xianyu's words were illogical, she still chose to listen to him patiently. Xianyu said, didn't you agree to elope with me back then? I think girls should respect themselves. If you can get the consent of your family, I can consider dating you. Xiang Yin had been tolerating it for a long time, but when he heard this, he couldn't help but holler, dream on. Don't even think about marrying into our family. Xianyu said shamelessly, I'm here now. Grandpa, didn't you say that you haven't forgiven Xiangyi? I'm the cause of all this. I'm here to help you solve the problem out of kindness. Xiang Yin's face turned sullen. How could he really hold it against Tutu? However, he kept those words to himself and couldn't bring himself to say it in public. Due to Xiang Yin's arrogant character and sudden silence, the netizens naturally got the wrong idea. I think Xianyu's words make sense. Xianyu isn't that bad, right? Why do you guys always think badly of him? He's obviously a PUA. He's belittling girls in order to gain control. He's so disgusting. Get lost, ugly man, stay away from Xiang Yi. Why does Xiang Yi have to bear the responsibility for the mistakes she made when she had amnesia? Cry, Xiang Yi was rather calm. I don't have any plans to get married, nor do I have any memories of you, Mr. Xian. I don't think our lives will intersect again. Xianyu looked at Xiangyi, who seemed to be trying to distance herself from him, and immediately panicked. How can you go back on your word? Seemingly feeling that his words were too childish, he resorted to his best means. But you're such a filthy woman. Who else would want you except me? Not only was he dissing her verbally, he even glanced at Zhong Yi and Jiang Jiang. Zhong Yi's face turned pale and she shielded Jiang Jiang behind her. He was well aware of the importance of reputation to a girl. This was because he knew that public opinion was always biased towards men. For example, if someone got pregnant before marriage, everyone would scold the woman. It was as if the man had no responsibility at all. Now that he said this, he was deliberately leading the crowd to believe that Xiang Yi was no longer clean. Xiang Yin flew into a rage. Nonsense. You're talking nonsense. He was so angry that he picked up his walking stick and wanted to break this dog's leg. Xian Yu hurriedly retreated and said, I've already said what I wanted to say. Xiang Yi, I'll give you 5 minutes to consider, no need. The resolute words came from Madame Xiang. Her expression was calm and her dress was elegant. Whether it's our tutu or other girls, they all live for themselves, not for others to see. And your slander, in my opinion, is childish and laughable. People who don't know the truth will attack a girl because of her so-called reputation, but as her family, we will never hurt her. Don't you agree, old man? Madame Xiang looked at Xiang Yin with a smile in her eyes. Xiang Yin seemed to have been encouraged and the advantage of his loud voice was obvious at this moment. Bunny is our family's little darling. No one is allowed to hurt her. What do you mean by forgiving? I've never blamed her at all. Not even for a second. Chapter 381. Old Mr. Xiang was full of energy and his voice was loud and firm. Every word he said was powerful and resonant. Zhong Yi, who was not far away, watched everything in shock. She was really envious of Xiang Yi. Back then, when her family found out that she was pregnant with Jiang Jiang, their first reaction was to chase her out of the house for fear that she would ruin their reputation. However, they also asked her to give her parents and brother a considerable amount of living expenses every month on the grounds that it was her duty to do so. On the other hand, Xiang Yi's family protected and supported her unconditionally. Even Xiang Yin, who was so arrogant and awkward, would make tutu candies for her. He would even give up his pride and protect her without hesitation. Xian Yu still wanted to play the same trick again. Then, no one wants her, shut up. So what if no one wants her? It's not like our family can't afford to raise her. Xiang Yin retorted. Xiang Yi's heart was filled with emotions. She pinched her palms to calm her surging emotions. It turns out that Grandpa has never blamed me. Madame Xiang was much more sharp-tongued. Is the standard to judge a girl by what you call, no one wants her? Come on, the Qing dynasty died a long time ago and arranged marriages have long ended. Even an old woman like me knows that marriage is free in the new era. Don't tell me you don't even know that. Pretending to be surprised, old Mrs. Xiang covered her mouth and said, Ah, are you a fool? Or did your parents leave early? Xian Yu's face immediately turned as red as a pig's liver. In the live stream, the spicy tutu fans were overjoyed. Grandpa Xiang and Grandma Zhu and dote on Sister Yi so much. Your parents left early equals you're an orphan. Thank you for Grandma's online lessons. Grandma's combat power is definitely on the SSR level. Xian Yu is at most an arcade. Xian Yu's gaze was erratic. He didn't expect Xiang Yin and Madame Xiang to be so difficult to deal with. They had clearly been hurt by Xiang Yi at that time, so why did they still choose not to hold it against her? That was beyond Xian Yu's understanding. Since he couldn't persuade his family, Xian Yu wanted to continue pressuring Xiang Yi. Didn't she want to break away from the Xiang family? Without him, how could she have succeeded? At the thought of this, Xian Yu suddenly regained his confidence. He looked at Xiang Yi affectionately and said, Actually, I don't look down on you that much. You do have some merits. Look, only he could see the good in Xiang Yi. This method of belittling first and then praising later could be said to have worked well in the past. Young and naive girls like Xiang Yi were the easiest to fool. The next second, Xiang Yi flicked the whip expressionlessly, scaring Xian Yu so much that he shrieked and almost jumped up. Excuse me, you're blocking my spinning top. Xian Yu? The netizens were speechless. Everyone's attention then shifted to the whip in her hand. They shuddered at the same time. In the cold atmosphere, a low chuckle sounded. Sue's heart felt as if it had been brushed by a feather. Sister E, could you teach me? Shui, who had been a bystander for a long time, opened her mouth slowly. Sure. After Xiangyi taught him a few words, Shui took the whip. He had a high level of comprehension and was the type who could understand with just a little bit of guidance. After a few casual lashes, the spinning top spun even faster. The atmosphere in the live stream changed abruptly. The sense of immersion is too strong. I feel like Shui is a villain who will resort to domestic violence. Other people who wield whips are men who harness horses. Why is this man so and so handsome? Chapter 382. Xianyu was speechless. He somehow felt that this man was treating him like a spinning top. In particular, his gaze seemed gentle but actually contained a strong sense of oppression. His scalp turned numb as he slandered Xiangyi. You'd better stay away from such a woman. She can elope with anyone she wants, is that so? Shui chuckled, as if the scenery around her had come alive. Is there such a good thing? Xianyu was dumbfounded. There was an uproar in the live stream. Official announcement? Thank you for the help, buddy. You can get your bento box now. Aw, don't laugh like that, who can stand it? Attacking and belittling women is not a gentleman's behavior. It doesn't make you look noble. Shui said unhurriedly, if you can't even show respect, I'm very suspicious of your real purpose for coming here to look for Sister E. There were some things that everyone was well aware of, but they just didn't say it out loud. Shui, on the other hand, exposed Xianyu's ugly and dirty thoughts. Xianyu was immediately embarrassed. I came to look for her because she said that she wanted to marry me and even pestered me, so? Do you like her? Of course not, but after all, she's been pestering me. Xianyu began to spout nonsense under Shui's intimidating aura. Shui nodded slightly with a clear expression. Mr. Xian, you're really contradicting yourself. On one hand, you belittle Sister E and keep saying that you don't fancy her, but on the other hand, you're pestering Sister E like a dogskin plaster and insisting on marrying her despite her wishes. I think I can use one word to describe your behavior. After a pause, he turned to look at the camera and tilted his head slightly. If I say it out loud, our live stream will probably be banned. His fair and slender fingers gently pressed against his lips. Shoo, a large group of viewers in front of the screen were stunned. Shocking. Shui actually knows how to act cute. Okay, don't talk. Otherwise, I'm going to remember your name. Ha ha ha, Shui is so mean. Others don't hit people in the face, but he's hitting people in the face. Xianyu was rebuked until he was like a mute, unable to say anything for a long time. At this point, the audience was not stupid. They could tell that he had ulterior motives. However, there were still people who used Xiangyi as an excuse to scold her. Shui seemed to have guessed the public opinion on the internet. He leaned lazily against the pillar of the pavilion with his long legs slightly bent. Xiangyi doesn't even fancy me. Why would he fancy you? Everyone. Come on, you're the best actor. Can't you have a bit of a burden? How can you be so self-deprecating? Even the haters aren't as good as you. Xiangyin, who had always found Shui to be an eyesore, suddenly felt that this rascal, it was all right. He snorted, what's there to compare that dog with you? Comparing the two of you is simply a scammer. Xianyu was speechless. It's a knowing blow. Xiangyi's grandmother said smilingly, Mr. Xian, don't feel inferior. You're still better than Shui in one aspect. You may be ugly, but you're thick-skinned. Xianyu was speechless. Doubles? At this moment, Xiao Naofu, who had been missing for a long time, finally returned. It was holding a fat rat in its mouth and nimbly jumped to Xianyu's feet before throwing it onto his shoes. Xianyu exclaimed, "Aw, rat. There's a rat." He was so frightened that he completely lost his composure. as if he was a ridiculous clown. The crowd burst into laughter. Anger rose in Xianyu's heart and he kicked at Xiao Naofu. However, a creamy yellow figure at the side pushed Xiao Naofu away. Before Xianyu's foot could even touch a few strands of its fur, little Shiji rolled on the ground and went far away. It hummed feebly and aggrievedly. Woof! Xianyu's eyes widened in shock. Scammer. This is what you call scammer. Why are dogs pretending to be White Lotus these days? Chapter 383. In the eyes of the netizens, little Shiji was trying to protect Xiao Naofu, but in the end, Xiao Naofu kicked him hard. Dog lovers are condemning him. Damn it, this ugly man is so vicious. It's just an innocent and pitiful dog. Pitiful, pitiful. Someone said that Xiao Naofu was in the wrong and was immediately rebuked. It's only right for cats to catch mice. Isn't it because Xianyu is so outrageous that even Xiao Naofu can't stand it and teach him a lesson on behalf of Sister E? I don't care, Xiao Naofu is the cutest in the world. I won't allow anyone in this world to dislike it. Xiangyi hurriedly went to check on little Shiji's injuries while little Shiji continued to put on an act and rubbed its head against her calf. Even Xiao Naofu was fooled and scurried over with its short legs. Meow meow. Stray dog, what's wrong with you? Little Shiji barked. Woof woof. Xiao Naofu didn't know how to speak dog language, but it felt as if little Shiji was saying, my wound hurts so much. After hesitating for a few seconds, it condescended and licked little Shiji's fur while swallowing the humiliation. Ah meow. It won't hurt anymore if you lick it. The heartwarming scene made one feel even more distressed and infuriated. Xianyu would never have thought that using public opinion to manipulate the emotions of netizens would result in a backlash that came too easily. Tell him to get lost. Tell him to get lost. I'm begging you to whip him. Whip him like a spinning top. My heart aches for little Shiji. Xiao Naofu must be blaming itself too. U1S1 Xiao Naofu is so nice. Xiao Naofu has taken the initiative to lick little Shiji's fur. In the animal world, that's a sign of goodwill and affection. Xiangyi looked up with an icy cold gaze. When he met her gaze, Xianyu's heart trembled as he felt that the Xiangyi in front of him was extremely unfamiliar. She had changed from a vain and pompous girl who had her thoughts written all over her face to an existence that he dared not look at. I didn't kick it on purpose. Xianyu broke out in cold sweat and continued, besides, it's just a beast. So what if I kicked it? How can a beast compare to a human? Xiangyi nodded. You're right. Xianyu heaved a sigh of relief. Seems like this woman still cares about me. In the next second, Xiangyi said indifferently, you're a human? Xianyu? The live stream. Even the staff at the scene were dumbfounded. F***ck, so Sister E knows how to insult people too? Sure Sui answered lazily, calling him a beast seems to be an insult to the word beast. Xiangyi sneered. Is he worthy? The two of them sang the same tune and cooperated seamlessly. The lethality of their attacks was off the charts. Xianyu's face was extremely sullen, but he didn't know how to refute. You're human. You've added more insults to your vocabulary. Sure Sui and Sister E have such great chemistry. They're like parents protecting their children. Turns out Sister E has a temper too. She's so adorable when she's so fierce. I want to rub her. Mr. Xian, take care. I won't see you off. Madame Xiang adjusted her shawl gracefully. Xianyu bluffed. Xiangyi, I'm leaving. Don't regret it. Xiangyi rubbed the back of little Shiji's neck, got up, and walked towards him step by step. Xianyu was nervous and expectant as his heart pounded rapidly. That beautiful and fair face was getting closer and closer to him, whoosh. Xiangyi grabbed his collar and lifted him up with one hand while Xianyu's feet were suspended in the air with a horrified expression. She raised her eyebrows gently, seemingly giving him a gift. You can get out. Chapter 384. There was a few seconds of silence in the live stream before the pop-up comments flooded the screen. Picking up a grown man with one hand? I was wrong, I shouldn't have called her sister. Sister, are you a sniper? I'm sorry, I've betrayed you. Why is it inappropriate? From now on, I'm your loyal fan. Xin was scared out of his wits, and in a moment of desperation, he turned to Madame Xiang, who seemed to be the easiest to talk to. Grandma. Take care of your granddaughter. She's not behaving like a girl at all. Madame Xiang blinked and asked, Old man, did you see anything? Xiang Yin answered calmly, I'm old and my eyesight is poor. I didn't see anything. Shi Sui even applauded and exclaimed, Wow, Sister Yi is so impressive. Zhong Yi didn't say anything and simply covered Jiang Jiang's eyes calmly. Xin was dumbfounded. What kind of people is this family? Xiang Yi carried him a few meters away with a straight face before throwing him out and slamming the small wooden door of the garden that led to the manor. Don't bother me again. Otherwise, you'll have to bear the consequences. Xiang Yi had always been a good-tempered person, but that didn't mean that she didn't have a temper. Xin was so frightened that he peed his pants and stumbled out. The photographer, old Zhang, even gave him a close-up shot and recorded his disheveled back view. The spicy tutu girls felt extremely relieved. That's the right way to treat scumbags. Reason is for humans, scumbags don't count as humans. There's no need to reason with them. Xiang Yi took a deep breath, calmed herself down, and carried little Shiji back to the living room. Xiao Naofu's footsteps were light and it carried little Shiji's kennel into its luxurious cat mansion before her. Meow. Meow meow. Humph, stinky dog, I'm not being nice to you. It's just, the mansion is too big. I'm just letting you have a little space. Xiang Yi's eyes were filled with warmth. Xiao Naofu, you've grown up. Xiao Naofu looked away, feeling a little embarrassed. After placing little Shiji in the kennel, she raised her hand and stroked the dog for a while. Xiao Naofu suddenly became envious again. It aggrievedly snuggled up to Xiang Yi's hand and rubbed itself against her like a spoiled little kitten. Meow. You're not allowed to touch the dog. You can only touch this hoo-hoo. You are really a little troublemaker. Xiang Yi's tone was helpless and doting, but she gave Xiao Naofu a full massage. Rubbing the back of its neck and pinching its ears, the kitten soon couldn't take it anymore. It was so comfortable that it relaxed. It took the initiative to approach Xiang Yi, wanting to kiss her. Xiang Yi remembered its heroic posture of catching the mouse just now and was very moved. Then, she covered its mouth. Cough, you can only kiss after brushing your teeth. Xiao Naofu instantly showed a heartbroken expression. Meow, meow, meow. This damned stupid woman actually dared to despise this handsome hoo-hoo. The netizens in the live stream were dying of laughter. Xiao Naofu, it was a mistake after all, Shi Sui. This is a lesson, remember it. You can only kiss after brushing your teeth. Under Xiao Naofu's heartless gaze, Xiang Yi's heart softened again. She coaxed softly, shall we kiss on the forehead then? Humph. It humphed in a childish voice. Xiang Yi leaned forward, her hair cascading down, and her cherry-colored lips pouted slightly. There was a soft, pop sound, but it didn't land on the kitten's forehead. Instead, it landed on the back of the man's fair and slender hand. It was Shi Sui, who had placed her hand between Xiao Naofu and her lips. The netizens were flabbergasted. Shi Sui is the most shameless of the family of four. Chapter 385. He did it with his own hands. That means he kissed her on the lips. Hey, aren't you going a little overboard by rounding things off? Ha ha ha, Xiao Naofu's expression is so funny, cat. JPG, even Xiang Yi was dumbfounded, let alone the netizens. The calmest person was none other than Shi Sui. Shi Sui's long and narrow eyes curved in joy, but he said righteously, Sister Yi, you're taking advantage of Xiao Naofu so openly. It won't be able to find a girlfriend. Xiang Yi? Xiao Naofu? The netizens? Li Jianyu's mouth twitched. Daddy, sure, although Xiao Naofu and little Shiji are not humans, you're a dog. Wan Qing's eyes were full of smiles, as if she had seen through something. Xiangyi took a few seconds to react. She retreated slightly and put some distance between her lips and the back of his hand. She asked softly, "What are you going to do then?" Shi Sui chuckled and asked, "Why? Are you disgusted with me?" I'm not, don't spout nonsense." Shi Sui began to sigh and said, "Actually, I think what that man said just now makes sense. No one will want an unclean boy." Xiangyi panicked and exclaimed, "No. Don't listen to his nonsense. Don't take the words of annoying people to heart. You're not an unwanted kid." Shi Sui pinched her face and teased, "I'm 7 years older than you, how dare you call me a kid?" Xiangyi said. "Big friend." The interaction between the two made countless netizens smile in front of their screens. "I'm shedding tears of envy. Lonely, 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 lonely. I have a feeling that Shi Sui's subtext is, if I'm unclean, you have to be responsible for me. Xiang Yi, you're such a silly child. This dog of a man is tricking you. Why are you so silly and sweet in front of him?" Xiao Naofu meowed angrily. It wanted to scratch Shi Sui, but it was afraid of being taken away for sterilization, so it could only bark at him a few times. Little Shiji's black eyes were moist as he curled his tail around Xiao Naofu's and pulled the little kitten into his arms. Fortunately, the kennel was big enough and the kitten was small, so it was not crowded when they slept together. Xiao Naofu was both aggrieved and angry, its little paws pounding on the soft kennel. Little Shiji licked its fur patiently, not annoyed even after being kicked by Xiao Naofu. Only then did Xiang Yi realize that their conversation was slightly ambiguous, and the atmosphere was strange. She looked at the clock on the wall and coughed. "It's 8:00. Why don't we watch TV?" Shi Sui always listened to her. "Okay." The netizens in the live stream room were speechless. Forget about the previous hashtag "I'm watching a live stream" hashtag, but now hashtag "I'm watching a variety show" hashtag. Xiangyi went to turn on the TV while her grandparents, Zhongyi and Zhengzheng, came over one after another. The opening was a cartoon version of Xiangyi and Shi Sui planting flowers and vegetables, fishing, and catching pigs. Zhengzheng watched with rapt attention. Wow! The production team was stunned for a while before realizing that Xiangyi's unintentional actions were actually good publicity. Their live stream had such high traffic, it would be a waste not to use it. Hence, Li Jianyu frantically began to advertise in the voiceover. "Dear viewers, please stay tuned to Nanqing Satellite TV's 2 Under One Roof. Those who have a TV, please support the broadcast. Those who don't, please download Nanqing TV." While he was speaking, the show began. Although countless netizens were teasing Li Jianyu, they still switched on the TV and downloaded the software. The production team of Eating Well for All 3 Meals almost fainted from anger when they found out about this. Chapter 386. Why didn't we think of such a simple, effective, and direct publicity method? In the group chat of Meow TV, the director sent a voice message and flew into a rage. "Are you all idiots? How can you not think of this?" The others were complaining incessantly. Before Wan Qing left, she had actually done the work of several people on her own, and her completion rate was particularly high. As soon as she left, it was no exaggeration to say that the planning department and the publicity department were half paralyzed. They were leaderless and their work efficiency was extremely low. Only now did they begin to regret it. How great would it be if Wan Qing hadn't left? Wouldn't I have pushed all the work to her? Wouldn't I have been the scapegoat? On the other hand, Xiangyi began to get restless after watching the introduction. She hadn't watched much of 2 Under One Roof, but now it seemed that she didn't have a good sense of camera angles in the first episode. She looked like she wasn't very smart. "Why don't we change the channel?" Xiangyi said seriously. "Let's watch the news and find out about national affairs." Madame Xiang exclaimed, "This is so interesting. Our dear Tutu is on TV, she's so impressive. I'm going to post this on my WeChat moments." Xiang Yin said, listen to your grandma. Xiang Yi said. Okay. The netizens were appalled. Ha ha ha, large-scale public execution, Sister Yi, did you grow up eating cuteness? Turns out grandma is the person with the highest status in the family. The first episode was edited by Li Jianyu himself, and the title was, The Most Valuable Thing in Life is Friends. There were two main plots, one of which was between Shi Sui and Director Yan. Director Yan was both Shi Sui's talent scout and a good friend of Shi Sui's. When old friends reunited, this plot was heartwarming. When they talked about the past, there were also plenty of old songs that could make the audience think of their good friends in a comfortable atmosphere. The other plot was between Xiang Yi and Yan Nai. At first, Yan Nai was hostile towards Xiang Yi, but soon, he vividly displayed what it meant to be sweet. This plot was a lot more interesting. The scene where Xiang Yi reconciled with the father and son was also very contagious. Although it was about daily life, the pace of the editing was very tight. After an hour and a half, it made people feel that it was not enough. This variety show was too interesting. What? The second episode will only be broadcasted next week? Many people beat their chests and stamped their feet. In the end, they found out that this was actually a live broadcast program. In an instant, many new viewers who had been attracted by television flooded into the live broadcast room. The director's room was filled with all sorts of equipment and instruments. Li Jianyu and the others refreshed the online version's views. 160 million. The production team, ! It exploded. This was an explosive number. Soon, Wan Qing went out to answer a call. When she returned, she said calmly, the viewership ratings are out. How much? Li Jianyu was the first to ask. He grabbed his hair again. Don't tell me. I don't dare to listen. Although the online version's numbers were good, if the viewership ratings were too low, he would still feel frustrated. Wan Qing smiled. It is indeed an unbelievable number. I'm not listening. Wan Qing ignored him and said to the crowd, the average viewership rating is 2.18, and the highest is 2.46. All of a sudden, there were cheers in the small room. At the same time, Miao TV had also received the news. The viewership ratings for the premiere of Eating Well for All 3 Meals yesterday were the highest at 1.8, but later on, the average viewership ratings dropped to about 1.6. Meanwhile, the viewership ratings for Two Under One Roof had exceeded 2. This was like rubbing them against the ground. Chapter 387. Moreover, Eating Well for All 3 Meals had a high viewership rating in the first few minutes of the broadcast, but it gradually decreased later on. On the other hand, Two Under One Roof was steadily increasing in viewership. Several famous scenes such as Crayfish Out of the Pot, Yan Nai Smells Delicious, and Xiang Yi Plays the Sanxian had reached a peak in viewership ratings. Even at the end of the credits, the viewership ratings were still astonishingly high. Using the word hang and beat to describe it was the most appropriate. There were more than a dozen trending topics on Weibo, gossip forums, and WeChat moments. Countless people finally realized, Two Under One Roof was not just the first live-streamed variety show. It was likely to become the most popular variety show in the country this summer. In the small room, Li Jianyu's cell phone was almost exploding with calls from brands who wanted to invest in the show. Fortunately, Wan Qing was already prepared. She transferred his number to her 2 assistants' cell phones, thus giving her some time to relax. Li Jianyu smiled foolishly like a landlord's son and said, it feels so good to have a sugar daddy chasing after me and vying to give me money. It's like a free lunch falling from the sky, right into my mouth. Wan Qing said, you're too familiar with calling me daddy. Li Jianyu said righteously, I'm your daddy if I give you money. Hearing this, Wan Qing took out a bill from her bag and slapped it on Li Jianyu's palm. She smiled and said, call me daddy. Li Jianyu said shyly, I'm so embarrassed. Give it back to me then, Wan Qing said, pretending to take the money back. Li Jianyu immediately corrected himself, Daddy Ruan. You have to keep your word. Ruan Qing touched her chin and said, so that's how it feels. Call me Daddy again. Indeed, it feels pretty good. Do I have to call you Daddy just because you want me to? That'll be another price. Li Jianyu said seriously. Ruan Qing was speechless. It was getting late at night. Xiang Yi and Madame Xiang had a regular routine and the two of them went to rest early. Jiang Jiang kept rubbing her eyes. After Zhong Yi helped her wash up, she couldn't fall asleep and thus returned to the living room. By the floor-to-ceiling window, Shi Sui was reading a book. The warm light blended a warm glaze on his handsome face, softening the contours of his whole person. He was completely different from the sharp and paranoid state he had been in during the filming of the movie. Xiang Yi was brushing Xiao Naofu's teeth. After carefully brushing his teeth twice, the little cat was already sleepy and was properly placed into a soft and fluffy cat bed. Good night, Xiao Naofu. Little Shiji licked her palm while Xiang Yi rubbed the Shiba Inu's head. Good night, little Shiji. Zhong Yi looked at her in surprise. She seemed to understand why Shi Sui treated Xiang Yi differently. The most irresistible thing in this world was gentleness. Senior Zhong. Xiang Yi saw her and took the initiative to greet her. Do you want to eat supper? The audience, who thought that the live stream was about to end, suddenly wailed. Stop. Stop it. Gain 3 pounds every time you live stream, Sister E, are you hungry? Do you want to eat? Do you want supper? Little Vase, do you see that man by the window? Can't you go and get lovey-dovey with him? All you do is cook all day long. I'm so angry. Zhong Yi was stunned for a moment and somehow relaxed. Do you have wine? Shi Sui, who was reading, glanced over casually. A certain drunkard's eyes lit up. Yes, yes. A few minutes later, Xiang Yi happily came out of the kitchen with shredded squid and some side dishes. Shi Sui was waiting at the door. He looked at her with a smirk. Chapter 388. Seeing him, Xiang Yi inexplicably felt a little guilty. Sister E, are you going to drink with someone? Shi Sui asked calmly. Xiang Yi knew that he couldn't drink today because he had work the next morning. She tried to figure out what he was thinking. Are you jealous of us? The netizens were dumbfounded. Sister E, what kind of dangerous statement is that? Ha ha ha, what kind of cutie is this? Huh? Pretty sister x pretty sister? That seems a little fun. Shi Sui looked a little helpless. You. He sighed. Drink less. Okay, okay. Xiang Yi took a few steps out with the tray and suddenly thought of something. She turned around and said, there's still a lot of wine in the cellar, I'll treat you to some next time. Shi Sui chuckled and said, okay, I'll remember that. Zhong Yi realized that Xiang Yi had suddenly become enthusiastic. After being in the entertainment industry for so many years, she had already developed an astute mind and it wasn't difficult for her to guess the reason for Xiang Yi's change in attitude. It turned out that she liked drinking. Senior, try this shredded squid. It's fragrant and a little salty. It's also very chewy and slightly springy. Just listening to her description made Zhong Yi salivate. She maintained the elegance and restraint of a female celebrity and only put a thin strand of squid into her mouth. It's actually so delicious. Xiang Yi began to recommend something else to her. These peanuts are wrapped in flour and egg. It's sweet and the egg fragrance is just right. Although it's fried, it's not greasy at all. Zhong Yi tried one. Hence, 2 minutes later, Zhong Yi's image as a female celebrity was completely gone. She sat cross-legged on the ground with her hair tied into a bun. She took a sip of food and wine, looking like a swordswoman. In the live stream, Xiang Yi, go on the link if you can. I think Xiang Yi has the potential to be a mukbang streamer. Just listening to her description is making me hungry. Sister Zhong Yi, where's your expression management? Where's your celebrity image? Where's your glamorous persona? Shui didn't join them. She sat quietly by the window and read. At first, the two girls were a little unfamiliar with each other, but they soon became familiar with each other. Zhong-yi raised her glass. World peace, no more scumbags. Xiangyi clinked glasses with her, making a crisp sound. Sometimes, girls' friendship was just that simple. If you and I were on the same side and liked or hated the same person or thing, then we would be sisters from different mothers. Li Jianyu thought that it would be nice to stop there when the live stream was supposed to end, but Wan Qing signaled for him to continue. What if the car flips? No, it's a woman's intuition. Seeing that Li Jianyu was about to speak, Wan Qing choked him with one sentence. If I'm the boss, then you're the boss? Li Jianyu, lowly Shaoli, shut your mouth. Slightly tipsy, Zhong-yi and Xiangyi's conversation went deeper and deeper. Sometimes, I resent him. If it weren't for him, there wouldn't be Jiangjiang. I'm not afraid of others scolding me, but I'm afraid of Jiangjiang being scolded. I think she's a child who isn't blessed by this world. Perhaps it was because actors had a strong ability to empathize with others, but Xiang-yi also felt a little choked up. She patted Zhong-yi's back and said, every child is born into this world for the sake of happiness. His words touched Zhong-yi, and her eyes immediately turned red. Xiangyi hesitated for a moment before moving closer. She then hugged Zhong-yi and patted her back gently. Same to you, senior. Chapter 389. Having not hugged anyone for a long time, Zhong-yi's body was obviously a little stiff, but Xiangyi had a sense of propriety and ended the hug in a few seconds. She was polite and warm. Thud. A tear fell from the corner of Zhong-yi's eye. There were no cameramen in the living room, only a few fixed cameras. In the director's room. Seeing this scene, Li Jianyu, a grown man, felt a lump in his throat. Although there weren't many pop-up comments in the live stream, it was very heartwarming. Xiang-yi is really gentle. Sister, don't cry. I can't help it when you cry. Sister Yi's words are so heartbreaking. She must be a girl who grew up being doted on. That's why she can say that every child is born into this world for the sake of happiness. Zhong Yi's tears fell silently for a while. She looked beautiful and breathtaking. Xiangyi didn't say anything to comfort her and simply poured some fruit wine into her glass. A moment later, Zhong Yi got a grip on her emotions. I envy you very much. She expressed her feelings straightforwardly. You have a family who dotes on you, but I don't. During the most difficult period, no one comforted me when I called home. All they did was ask for living expenses. At that time, the most extravagant thing I ever did was to go to the supermarket at night to buy fruits that were on sale for $1 a bag. I didn't even have time to wash them and finish them on the way back. Zhong Yi smiled and continued, it's funny, isn't it? But I still remember the taste of those fruits. After going through so much hardship, even a piece of candy could be extremely sweet. That was why she was so resolute when she met Jiangjiang's father. You're the first person to say those words to me. Zhong Yi smiled brightly, as if no amount of setbacks could hide her beauty. Can I call you Sister Yi? Xiangyi was a little dizzy from drinking. Resting her chin in her hand, she nodded and said, sure. Zhong Yi put an arm around her shoulder and said proudly, Sister Yi, I'll take care of you from now on. There were suddenly more comments in the live stream. I know Zhong Yi is from a cult, I'll just stand there for a second. Just 1 second. Come to think of it, Zhong Yi's life really isn't easy. Not everyone has the courage to be a single mother. Sister Yi looks so soft when she's drunk. Shui, stop reading. Would it work or not? If not, I'll do it. The live broadcast came to an abrupt end. As Wan Qing expected, Xiangyi and Zhong Yi's drinking party didn't fail. Instead, it moved countless people. This was something that the production team of Eating Well for 3 Meals could not understand. Why didn't the netizens believe them when they told Zhang Yun to show her true feelings? Zhong Yi had only cried a little, and Xiangyi had only hugged her. How could the two of them become a couple? The production team of Eating Well for 3 Meals was extremely depressed. In the almost suffocating atmosphere, someone came up with a stupid idea and suggested, "I think the success of 2 Under One Roof must be because of the good script. Why don't we poach their planner and scriptwriter?" Unexpectedly, this suggestion received widespread approval. Since they couldn't fight head-on, they could use underhanded tactics. In the end, the 2 girls had too much to drink. Shui asked Wan Qing to send Zhongyi back to her room and help take care of Jiangjiang while she carried Xiangyi in her arms. Wan Qing looked at her with a subtle gaze and said, "Li Jianyu said that you're worse than little Shiji. I thought it was a joke, but I didn't expect it to be true." Shui raised his eyebrows, a joyful smile in his dark eyes. "Thank you, you flatter me." Chapter 390. Wan Qing was speechless for a while before teasing, "Aren't you afraid that Sister Yi's brother will come back?" Even she was a little intimidated by Sungchen's domineering aura. Shui smirked and said in a mysterious tone, "Him? He should be busy." Wan Qing was dumbfounded. In a bar in Nanchang. Although Xianyu made a fool of himself in the live stream of 2 Under One Roof, and was ridiculed by the netizens, he had achieved his goal. He was still famous after all. Now that he had gained popularity, a group of internet celebrities in the company were surrounding him and sucking up to him, feeding him fruits, and toasting him. Xianyu was thick-skinned in the first place. In the blink of an eye, he forgot about the embarrassing scene just now and began to brag. "Xiangyi, she looks just like that in real life. She's petty and unpresentable. Women have to behave like women. Look at her, which part of her looks like a woman? She's just a shrew. If you ask me, I should have called the police and locked her up when she hit me. I should have taught her a lesson." He belittled Xiang Yi to the point that she was nothing. His throat was dry, but he found that the little internet celebrities around him all had ugly expressions on their faces. "Who are you guys putting on such a long face for? Let's get high." In the next second, a cold young man's voice sounded behind him. "My sister is a shrew?" Immediately after, a devilish male voice spoke in a slightly faster pace. "I dare you to say that again." Xianyu felt a chill down his spine and his heart trembled. However, he heard 2 more voices one after another. The gentle voice asked, "Do you think our tutu is a pushover?" The cold and aloof voice asked, "How do you want to die?" Xianyu turned his neck stiffly and saw a row of tall and slender figures behind him. His vision immediately turned dark. "Hello, brothers." Xianyu smiled and said obsequiously, "I'm Xianyu. Xiangyi likes me a lot. Have you forgotten?" She was still crying and rolling on the ground, saying that she wants to marry me. He was eager to use Xiangyi as a rescue, but little did he know that he ended up angering Xiangyi's brothers. Xiangyu grabbed his collar and pulled him up. "You're not fit to mention her name." Back then, Xianyu harbored evil intentions towards his sister at the Xiang family's old residence. If they hadn't been at home that day, who knew what would have happened? At the thought of it, Xiang uses brothers as, and he was about to punch him. However, Xiang Qi stopped him. "Xiangyu, let go." Xiang Li adjusted his glasses and calmly said, "Old four, you're about to compete. Don't cause trouble." Xiang Chen was much more direct. "Go away. You're too weak." The despised Xiangyu, Xiangyi, right, T-S-I, hee, now you know you're wrong? Xiang Qi grinned, his phoenix eyes filled with mischief. "But, we're not here to hear you apologize," Xianyu said shakily. I have money. Can I compensate you with money?" Xiang Qi interrupted, "We're here to beat you up. Tell me, what order do you want? 1234 or 4321? Or do you want a luxurious one-on-one beating package?" The little internet celebrities were scared out of their wits and had long run away. As for the bar, it had already been cleared. Xianyu wanted to cry but had no tears. Who would have thought that this family would be so protective? This time, I've offended someone I shouldn't have. I'm really done for. Chapter 391. Half an hour later. On Weibo, the netizens who were surfing saw a new post. It was a video posted by Xinu. Everyone was already a little tired of his aesthetics, but out of habit, they still clicked on the video. Xinu's tone was sincere and sincere. Here, I would like to apologize to Miss Xiangyi. Everything that happened today was made up by me for the sake of gaining popularity, huh? This ugly man actually apologized. In the complete video, Xinu not only apologized, but also dragged the gossip media into it, claiming that they were the ones who induced him to smear Xiangyi's reputation in exchange for traffic. In an instant, the netizens' anger rose to the peak. The gossip media soon tasted the backlash of the netizens. You treat us like fools, I'll treat you like an orphan. The Weibo account of the gossip media was bombarded with so much criticism that it turned off the comments section and received more than 100,000 insults in private messages. In the end, they had no choice but to expose the informant. Qin Wanyan thought that she had done it flawlessly. She used a smurf account and even got someone to change the IP address. However, her smurf account shared a few daily updates and the sharp-eyed netizens managed to figure out that it was her smurf account from the reflection of a bracelet and half of her face in the sunglasses in a photo. The overwhelming news flooded her Weibo account. Qin Wanyan was extremely anxious and called her manager, who comforted her impatiently and hung up without saying anything about public relations. When she called again for the second time, it was obvious that no one answered. Qin Wanyan was terrified to the extreme and she didn't dare to look at her cell phone at all. Every time she saw those vicious comments, her body would tremble. She would never have thought that those people who were scolding Xiangyi would come to scold her. Not long after, Tomato Entertainment released an announcement. Although Xiangyi was the boss in name, she didn't have much energy to manage it for the time being. Her uncle, Xiang Feng, had hired a professional manager for her and he was personally in charge. Seeing that his artiste was exposed to such a scandal, he immediately terminated the contract with Qin Wanyan. In addition to having to face a huge amount of compensation, Qin Wanyan's reputation in the industry was also ruined and no major company would be willing to sign her. Qin Wanyan, who was at her wit's end, suddenly thought of someone. Maybe he can help me, bar. Sanction kicked Xinu away with his long legs and adjusted his tie. His black suit outlined the perfect contours of his body and he exuded a strong sense of oppression that was hard to ignore. Xiangli looked gentle, but he was even more ruthless than Sanction. It was not difficult for a genius to destroy a company. Xiang Yu was worried. I feel like I'm just a bystander, Xiang Qi comforted him, you should be content. Little uncle doesn't even deserve to be here. Big brother thinks he's clumsy and a burden, Xiang Yu. Thank you for being comforted. He put on the hood of his hoodie. His jawline was smooth and handsome. Suddenly, he thought of something. Will my sister cry alone in bed? Imagining that scene, the Siscon men felt as if their hearts had been cut by a knife. Xiang Qi said with heartache, let's go back and comfort our sister. Even if she wants to cry, she should cry on my shoulder. Xiang Li chuckled. Are you worthy? Xiang Chen's brows were tightly knitted as he strode forward. Cheating. Big brother, you're cheating. Xiang Qi yelled angrily. The three of them hurriedly caught up with Xiang Yu. Little did they know that at this moment, in the manor. Chapter 392. Unbeknownst to them, at this time in the manor, the little rabbit had just been carried into the bedroom. Xiangyi's alcohol tolerance was excellent, and she didn't make a fuss when drunk. Shi Sui put her on the bed, and the little girl obediently rolled up the quilt and covered herself tightly. Shi Sui couldn't help but laugh and raised his hand to pinch her little face. You're really worrisome. Meow meow meow. Xiao Naofu woke up from its sleep and saw Shi Sui carrying the stupid woman back to the room. It hurriedly ran in, stopped at Shi Sui's feet, and roared fiercely at him. Shi Sui lowered his eyes and indifferently said, go back to your cat's nest and sleep. Xiao Naofu, meow. Meow meow. Don't think this hoo-hoo doesn't understand. You just want to trick me away and then do this to the stupid woman. It clung to the edge of the bed, and with great difficulty, it jumped up and sat on Xiangyi's pillow with a posture that said, "This Huhu is not leaving today." Xiangyi was awakened by the noise and opened her eyes in a daze. The figure of the little cat appeared in her vision, and she habitually hugged it in her arms. "All of you," Xiao Naofu, Ohit raised its chin provocatively at Shi Sui. "Humph. See that? This Huhu is the rightful wife. This is the Huhu that the stupid woman loves the most." Xiao Naofu's tail swayed gently, curling around her fingers, and rubbing its head against Xiangyi's soft skin under her collarbone. It coquettishly said, "Meow meow." Xiangyi closed her eyes again and gently coaxed, "All of you be good." Shi Sui's long and narrow eyes narrowed dangerously, and he sneered. "Want to be sterilized?" Xiao Naofu trembled in fear. However, although its IQ was only equivalent to a child of a few years old, children had a natural instinct to know who would protect them and who they could be pampered in front of. The white, soft, and cute kitten stuck out its little butt awkwardly and squeezed into Xiangyi's shirt through her collar. Only half of its little head was exposed, and it stuck its tongue out at Shi Sui. Lu dog man, this Huhu is not afraid of you." Shi Sui's temples twitched violently. The young lady was drunk, so of course he couldn't take advantage of her, therefore, he really couldn't do anything about Xiao Naofu now. However, the man was calm and composed as he smiled faintly. "Xiao Naofu, I've recently discovered that Sister Yi's casserole is especially good. The stewed meat is especially mushy." That black-bellied smile, that dark temperament, he was definitely a villain. "Xiao Naofu, you're not going to do anything when it comes to men and women, are you?" However, Xiangyi felt something furry and warm pressing against her body. It was a little itchy and a little heavy. The young lady murmured and wanted to move Xiao Naofu away, but she was blocked by her clothes. She subconsciously pulled at her clothes. Shi Sui's breathing became slightly erratic as he pressed down on her hand. In a daze, Xiangyi felt the hot temperature on the back of her hand. Her brain lost control of its logic, and her body reacted quickly. She grabbed Shi Sui's wrist and pulled, and pressed. In the blink of an eye, she had Shi Sui pressed against her side, imprisoning and subduing her. In fact, Shi Sui didn't resist at all. Otherwise, the drunk Xiangyi wouldn't have succeeded so easily. Xiangyi struggled to blur her eyes, as if trying to identify Shi Sui. A certain actor smiled at the kitten. "This is called acting, understand? Xiao Naofu, woof woof woof. UF** king dog man." Shi Sui didn't get to gloat for more than 3 seconds before someone knocked on the bedroom door. "Sister, are you asleep?" Chapter 393. In an instant, Shi Sui's expression froze slightly. Even Xiao Naofu was so scared that its tail curled up. The man and cat looked at each other and surprisingly reached an agreement. They didn't make a sound. Fortunately, the brothers outside the door were very gentlemanly in front of their sister and wouldn't barge into her room without permission. "She should be asleep, right?" Xiang Qi said uncertainly. Xiang Yu's nose twitched and he sniffed. "Seems like she made supper." Xiang Qi was overjoyed. "I'll go to the kitchen and take a look." Xiang Yu was afraid that he would steal food, so he followed closely behind him. The two of them went out of the kitchen and found the food in the fridge. Xiang Qi lowered his voice. "Fourth brother, don't make a sound. Let's split the spoils." Xiang Yu put one hand in his pocket and pressed down the hood of his hoodie with the other. He said a few words indifferently. "Big brother is outside." Xiang Qi was instantly terrified. If it was only the black-bellied old fox second brother outside, he would still dare to repeatedly jump on the edge of death. However, Xiang Yu was here. Xiang Yu said righteously, "Am I the kind of person who would secretly eat behind my brother's back? What's the most important thing when a family is together? Sharing." Xiang Yu clicked his tongue. He wouldn't believe his nonsense. Since they were already here, let's eat. The four brothers sat down around the remaining small plate of food. Xiang Li had already familiarly gone to the wine cellar to get wine. Xiang Yu was about to compete and consciously didn't touch the wine. Xiang Qi said arrogantly, "Fourth brother, pour wine for your brothers." Xiang Yu glanced at him. Xiang Qi said, "What are you staring at? Keep staring and I'll beat you up. You're the youngest, so of course you should pour it." Xiang Yu said in a disdainful tone, "Why didn't you say that when little sister was here?" He had never seen Xiang Qi order Xiang Yi around and only knew how to put on airs as third brother in front of him. Xiang Qi said righteously, "How can you compare to little sister?" Xiang Yu. "Fine, there's nothing wrong with that." He speechlessly poured wine for his brothers. In the bedroom, Xiang Yi stared at Shui for a long time. She seemed to recognize him. She buried her head in his chest and sniffed his shirt. Shui's body tensed up and his eyes darkened. After confirming that it was the familiar smell of laundry detergent, Xiang Yi felt relieved and fell asleep. Did this mean that he wasn't treating him as an outsider? This realization made Shui feel both amused and helpless. He broke free from Xiang Yi's shackles and pinched her little cheeks. Xiao Naofu meowed in protest. "Be a man." Shui sneered, "If I didn't want to be a human, you would have been stewed into a kitten." She shrank her little head into Xiang Yi's arms vigilantly, which made Shui's thin eyelids twitch violently. He really deserved a beating. After a few minutes, when the heat in his heart had dissipated, he gently tucked Xiang Yi in and went back to his room along the balcony. In the living room, Sangshan drank 2 glasses of wine, but his brows were still furrowed. He put down the wine glass and walked toward Shui's room. He knocked on the door with a blank expression. A moment later, the door was pulled open. Shui was only wearing a pair of dark blue home pants. He was wiping himself with a towel. "You're back. What's the matter?" Sangshan walked past him and looked into the room with a sharp gaze. The large bed in the room was clean and even the thin blanket was neatly folded. Sangshan felt relieved and said with a straight face, "Rest early." Suddenly, there was the sound of chaotic footsteps behind him. Sangshan turned around and saw his sister coming out of her room. Hugging a soft pillow with a lace rim, she walked towards Shui's room as if sleepwalking and bumped into his arms.